This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. The Prime Minister and Michael Pintard swapped blows over the Botswana trip. More questions as to why the police searched the home of the Electrical Workers Union president. And we are talking about your colon health and colon cancer awareness. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up. It's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Chester Robards will be joining us. Also this morning, it's our monthly segment with Bristol Wines and Spirits. We are always looking forward to that discussion coming up in our business hour. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, Prime Minister Philip Davis and Opposition Leader Michael Pintard exchanging barbs over the FNM's rejection of an invitation from the Davis administration to join the Prime Minister on an official visit to Botswana this week. After Pintard, at a press conference in New Providence, criticized the Prime Minister for traveling with what he called a large delegation, Davis, in a social media post, hit back at the opposition leader, saying, quote, "I am never going to stop promoting our country or building the bridges and relationships that bring our people new opportunities. I will continue to strengthen our partnerships and build alliances on issues that matter to us, whether it's a blockade to protect our borders, fighting against weapons trafficking, standing up for us on climate change, or getting us off the blacklist." The Prime Minister continued that, quote, "Pintard was invited to Botswana, a country widely considered one of Africa's biggest success stories. It's too bad he said no, just so he could perform at a press conference instead. He missed an opportunity to learn something from a country with one of the world's fastest growing economies." Well, FNM leader Pintard heading back after that. Pintard said he believed the trip cost the public purse as much as $500,000. He said the trip was a misuse of the nation's scarce resources, which could be better allocated to deal with the most pressing needs of the Bahamian people. In other news, as more and more Haitians flee their homeland because of the chaos happening there, Amnesty International says that countries should suspend repatriations to Haiti. In a statement, Amnesty International said, quote, that once again, we're calling on all states in the Americas, and in particular the governments of the United States and the Dominican Republic, to put an end to racist policies and practices and to ensure that Haitian nationals are not turned back at the border and have access to a fair and effective asylum procedure. States must suspend returns to Haiti as conditions in the country are putting the lives and safety of Haitian nationals at risk. America's director at Amnesty International, Anna Piquer, is saying that the international community must provide immediate humanitarian assistance to alleviate the suffering of those who have been displaced and affected by the violence. A deadlocked jury prompted a mistrial in the case of a Cuban man accused of indecent assault. The 9-member jury could not reach a majority verdict in the case of Rosamel Mendez. Prosecutors say Mendez, who was 26 years old, indecently assaulted an 8-year-old girl on April 10, 2023, by squeezing her buttocks following a trial before Justice Joyanne Ferguson. The jury could not reach a decision on his guilt or innocence. As a result, Ferguson ordered a retrial. Mendez, who was on bail, was represented by Bjorn Ferguson. And a father who repeatedly molested his daughter over a 7-year period has been sentenced to 27 years imprisonment. The 47-year-old man, who cannot be named to protect his daughter's identity, did not show any visible reaction when Justice Renee McKay delivered her sentencing decision. He was unanimously convicted of 7 counts of incest following a trial that ended last November. According to the evidence, which was accepted by the jury, the man began molesting his 13-year-old daughter soon after her mother, his wife, died in 2013. He introduced the child to porn and taught her to masturbate before he began sexually abusing her. The daughter said that when she got older, her father would allow her to go on dates if she had sex with him first, and that he would perform intimate searches and bathe her when she returned home. Overseas, explosions and shootings shook up the Gaza Strip's biggest hospital and surrounding neighborhoods as Israeli forces stormed through the facility for a second day on Tuesday. The military said it had killed 50 Hamas militants in the hospital, but it could not be independently confirmed that the dead were combatants. The raid was a new blow to the Shifa medical complex, which had only partially resumed operations after a destructive Israeli raid in November. Thousands of Palestinian patients, medical staff, and displaced people were trapped inside the sprawling complex Tuesday as heavy fighting between troops and Hamas fighters raged in nearby districts. And Caribbean leaders saying that all groups and political parties except one have submitted nominees for Transitional Presidential Council charged with selecting an interim prime minister for Haiti, which remains engulfed in gang violence. The original 9-member council was whittled down to 8 members after the Petit Dessalines party, led by former senator and presidential candidate Jean-Charles Moïse, declined a seat last week. Moïse is allied with Guy Philippe, a former police official, and rebel leader who served time in the U.S. after pleading guilty to money laundering. The December 21st group, which is allied with Prime Minister Ariel Henry, was one of the last holdouts, submitting a name Monday to the regional trade bloc called CARICOM, as you know. Its nomination had been delayed by infighting as group leaders bickered over potential candidates. Henry, who remains locked out of Haiti because ongoing gang violence has forced the closure of the main international airport, he's promised to resign once the Transitional Council is created. He was on an official trip to Kenya, pushing for the UN-backed deployment of a police force from the East African country to fight gangs in Haiti, when armed gunmen launched attacks on February 29th in the capital, Port-au-Prince. The deployment has been delayed. A UN deputy spokesperson telling reporters Tuesday that Kenya has concerns about the makeup of the government on the ground. Gangs have torched police stations, opened fire on the main international airport, and stormed Haiti's 2 biggest prisons, releasing more than 4,000 inmates. On Monday, they attacked and looted homes in 2 upscale communities that had previously remained peaceful, killing at least a dozen people during the rampage. In sports, Bahamas are set to meet on the hardwood as Frederick King and the nationally number 11 ranked Cretan University Blue Jays welcome the challenge of Sammy Hunter and the University of Akron Zips in the opening round of the NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament. That's set for Thursday. The Blue Jays have a 3-1 win-loss record all-time against Akron, with the most recent result coming in 2016. The game will be played at PPG Arena in Pittsburgh. And so it's two Bahamians meeting in the opening round in March Madness. Read more about it in today's Guardian Sports section. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. Your first look at weather brought to you by Easy Car Sales. Here's what's happening. We've got that strong cold front that is drifting southeastwards across the central Bahamas now, and it's going to weaken in the southeast Bahamas by later today. In your forecast for today, that boundary is going to be across the southeast Bahamas. It's going to generate more shower activity as it gradually weakens. Meanwhile, weak high pressure across the remainder of the islands will support stable conditions with gentle to moderate breezes. There is a threat for possible waterspout activity associated with the frontal boundary, mainly in the southeast Bahamas. Boaters and beachgoers should exercise caution due to the risk of rip currents, especially along northern and eastern shorelines in the northwest and central Bahamas. For today, for the northwest and central islands, look for partly sunny and warm conditions with a few possible stray showers, mainly in the central Bahamas. Fair and mild tonight. Small craft caution in effect due to swells. Winds northeast to east at 10 knots or less, falling light and variable at times in the northwest Bahamas, 10 to 15 knots in the central islands. Seas 1 to 3 feet near shore and in sheltered areas, but building up to 7 feet along Atlantic exposures. For the southeast Bahamas today, mostly cloudy and warm, with isolated showers and thunderstorms through tonight. Expect gusty winds and higher seas in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Winds northeast to east at 10 to 15 knots, gusty at times. Seas 2 to 4 feet higher in gusts. Temperatures today, definitely a big difference from yesterday. Highs on this first full day of spring, 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 64 Fahrenheit, 18 Celsius. Currently in Nassau, we are at about 66 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have an extended outlook coming up after in just a bit. But this first look at weather brought to you by Easy Car Sales. You've heard of electric vehicles. Isn't it time you drive one? Easy Car Sales invites you to test drive an EV at Harbor Bay Plaza all day this Saturday, March 23rd, in the CIBC parking lot. Come and see the 2024 lineup of new, affordable, and powerful electric models. Find out how to save money and drive better in an EV from Easy Car Sales this Saturday at Harbor Bay. You're listening to Morning Blend. When we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on your home for fresh news and smart talk all day. Guardian Radio 96.9.
When faced with an illness like cancer, we band together, and we at Cleveland Clinic in Florida have your back. From advanced cancer treatments to extra safety measures at all of our locations, we're with you on this journey. For every infusion and follow-up, for every step of the way, for every care in the world. Cleveland Clinic in Florida. Get the care you need when and where you need it. To learn more or connect with a local representative, Visit clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
To all homeowners, this is your reminder that Scotiabank encourages all taxpayers to sell outstanding real property taxes before March 31st, 2024. We want to ensure that you're up to date on all tax obligations. Failure to comply may affect your monthly mortgage payments and the total balance owing under your mortgage. We invite you to contact the RPT office of the Department of Inland Revenue or your nearest branch or bank officer if you require additional information or assistance. Stay on top of your taxes with Scotiabank.
Wherever you're headed, the Custom Computers Know-How team is standing by to help guide you in the East and the West. We now have 2 convenient locations on Patton Street in Palmdale and our newest store in the Caves Village Shopping Plaza through the Blake Road entrance. Discover the latest products by top international brands and the knowledge you need to unleash tomorrow's technology today. Drop by Custom Computers out east or out west. We're open Saturdays from 10 till 4.
All those loans I had were so overwhelming. Fidelity's debt consolidation loan combined all my loan payments into one easy payment with a built-in savings plan that pays me unbeatable interest. It's time to make that move to Fidelity. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Ready to score big? Alive is bringing you March Madness! From incredible deals on Ring devices to amazing deals on iPhones, Nokia, TCL, and more. Alive has everything you need to stay connected and save big. And that's not all. Enjoy free data, prepaid plan bundles, exclusive event tickets, and more. Deals end March 31st. Visit BeAlive.com or follow us on our social media at We Are Alive to stay in the know. Score big with Alive this March season. Don't miss out.
Friday, April 5th, get ready for another exciting Fish Fry Friday. At Margaritaville, downtown Nassau, featuring the big band Visage and DJ Beats with the latest in soca, Bahamian, and old school jazz.
Everybody take a drop. Come to party, I like y'all. Don't want no man.
Ready for $1 general admission, $55 buffet and party. Doors open at 6:30 p.m., party until 11:30 p.m. That's April 5th, Fish Fry Friday. The stage has been moved, so you've got more dancing space. Fish Fry Friday, April 5th at Margaritaville, downtown Nassau. Parking at the point for only $10. See you at Fish Fry Friday, April 5th with the big band Visage.
Every day in a busy world, we have to do so much. Bank with CIBC and get that personal touch. Share your ambitions, let us help your dreams come true. At CIBC, you're at the heart of all we do. We're on your side, we're listening, we know the way you feel. CIBC, ambitions made real.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also in your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969, Facebook.com/MorningBlend969, or text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796, standard text rate supply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Chester Robards. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us as always.
Glad to be here.
We have a lot to get to this morning. Coming up in our 8 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking about your colon health, colonoscopies, colon cancer, Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And I know a lot of you last year told us that you were inspired by what we were discussing on the show.
Why are you looking at me?
Well, didn't you do it too?
Yes.
Even though you're a little younger than, well, sort of, a little bit younger. Yeah, younger than the age they recommend.
Yeah, right.
We'll talk about that too, because some people should, even though they're younger than the 45
absolutely.
that's recommended. And then later in business, it's Bristol Wines and Spirits. What a combo today. And always a great time with them. A lot to talk about. We're going to meet some people who are doing some big things when it comes to understanding wine, especially.
Awesome.
So we're looking forward to that.
Yep.
But right now, let's get into what else is in the news. And in the news, quite a lot to talk about this morning, but we're only going to focus on a couple things because some of these. Anyway, so there's a lot of back and forth between the Prime Minister and the opposition leader about this Botswana trip, as we see a front page picture of the delegation at the sorting floor of the Botswana Diamond Company. So they're looking at diamonds. It was chimpanzees in the last... Where did they go that time? But this time, diamonds. Okay.
I'm at it then. They get to go to the Okavango on this trip. So
explain to people what that is.
The Delta, it's like the cradle of creation kind of area of Botswana with wildlife out of this world, and just it's extremely amazing. They have things on it you can find it on Netflix. Not National Geographic stuff, I think. There might have been a documentary. It was amazing.
Oh, lucky them.
They found new species and stuff.
I bet.
Yeah.
Now Michael Pintard is saying that this is a misuse, though, of the nation's scarce resources and could be better allocated to deal with the most pressing needs of the Bahamian people. He says he believes that this trip costs as much as $500,000.
Sounds about right.
It probably cost more than that, actually. But yeah, so there's a lot of that in the paper today because...
costs less than elevators.
Oh, wow. Pintard hit out at the trip. The Prime Minister issued a long post on, Facebook? And then Pintard responded to that with a statement last night. So it's back and forth. They'll probably go until they come back. Even after they come back.
That'd be cool.
So would it be cool?
And it's official, right?
Because
it's on X. I almost called it by its old name, right?
I still call it that.
Oh, okay.
I refuse. Do you X people?
That's true.
Send us an X?
Oh, boy.
Twitter, that's what you're talking about?
Yeah, Twitter. That thing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you can read about that in today's Nassau Guardian. So that's happening. Some interesting... This is quite special. This is in the Tribune. Defense lawyers oppose ending jury trials. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because they certainly are able to convince. I'm using different words. I want to say convince juries that their clients are innocent quite often. And I think they might have a harder time with a panel of judges. But I'm not saying that they're not innocent. I'm just saying it just seems like seems to be easier.
The one trial that I sat in, when I worked for the Tribune, actually, it seems many juries don't understand the judge's instructions or they ain't listening. I watch them sleep during the trial. I'm like, some of this don't make sense.
Some? So, but that should be an interesting read there. The big headline in the Nassau Guardian, suspend Haiti deportations. Amnesty International urging countries against turning Haitians back, especially as I've heard people say back to what, right? What are you sending them back to? To chaos and madness? But they're using words like asylum, which I'm sure a lot of countries were not going to be... open to, not especially in such large numbers. And the Bahamas has already said that definitely not.
Yeah.
So But that's Amnesty International. You can read about that in today's Nassau Guardian as well. The thing I do want to talk about is the search of Bahamas Electrical Workers Union President Kyle Wilson's home and what exactly is going on with this. Kyle Wilson's talking, but the police are talking as well. And so we want to get to all of this. Let's begin with this report from our Avani Toot.
Surveillance video shows police officers searching the property of the home that Bahamas Electrical Workers Union President Kyle Wilson shares with his elderly parents. Wilson said he was not home at the time, but relatives informed him that police had a warrant and were reportedly searching for drugs, stolen goods, and ammunition. Police have said the search of Wilson's property was not connected to him. However, Wilson said authorities have yet to convey that to him.
The police have not contacted me to say it has nothing to do with me. And to say it has nothing to do with me when you're searching the yard that I live in, and what if something is found? Would not the persons in the yard be held responsible? And so I find it strange that they would say it has nothing to do with me. But more or less, I live there, and they would have asked who lived there and the names of the persons who lived there. And so it has pretty much to do with me because it's our yard, it's where I live, you know.
Was it just your yard? Was it your yard on your home?
It's our yard. And the apartments in the yard as well.
Wilson says the 5 to 6 officers left after not finding anything. He added it was the third day police entered the property, but it was the first time they showed a warrant. He said a police officer also contacted him on his cell phone. He called it embarrassing, stressful for his parents, and questioned the timing of these searches.
I have been the subject of many false stories all across social media, personal attacks, WhatsApp attacks, people making threats. And so, you know, this just almost seems to flow right in line of possibly being an intimidation tactic of what's happening. I mean, reality is this. First, I understood in the news that they said they're not aware of it. And now I'm understanding what you're saying is that they're saying it has nothing to do with me. Wow.
In recent weeks, Wilson has been vocal about the state of Bahamas Power and Light and the yet-to-be-revealed deal the government is entering to transfer certain operations of the public utility to private interests. When pressed on the type of threats he has been receiving since speaking out, Wilson said this.
Well, I heard a WhatsApp message saying that they can deal with me or whatever it is. I don't know what that means, but I mean, I've done nothing, so I have no worries. I'm not afraid of anybody. I speak openly, I speak clearly, I speak to the issues. I'm not afraid. My biggest fear is in the Most High God. That's the only person I'm afraid of. And so these threats are just vain, dry threats to me.
The union president insisted he will not be intimidated and will continue to speak out on behalf of his members whose morale is decreasing daily.
I know what it is, and we know what it is, and I'm not afraid because I've done nothing. I've never done drugs. I've never probably even seen some of these drugs that they speak of in my life. And so my state is clean, to be honest with you. But I will not be intimidated, and I will speak as a voice for the people. I've been elected just like them to speak for the people. And you have persons in cabinet who have objected to some of the things that government has put forward. And so why can't I openly speak to everything? You know, everything isn't absolutely right. Everyone doesn't have the answer for everything. And so sometimes you have to listen. Sometimes the lion has to listen to the mouse.
Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I'm Vaughn Toot.
Okay, all right. So there's a lot of reaction to this today, in the last couple of days. And so we want to read some of these articles that address this. So there's an article in the Guardian about what Michael Pintard is saying about this. We'll get to that in a bit. The Tribune has a couple of articles on this. They have one, police deny threat to search underwear. Okay, that's a different story. Oh, boy. Union chief in police search. All right, so let's read this.
Huh?
That's a different story.
Oh, altogether.
Okay, so a lot of police denying things. Wow. Okay, so police say they searched properties owned by Bahamas Electrical Workers Union President Kyle Wilson after receiving a stealing complaint. Not to intimidate Wilson, who has publicly opposed the Davis administration's purported plan to reform BPL by dividing up the company with the help of private partners.
Did the complaint include drugs and ammunition?
During a tearful interview on ZNS last night, Wilson said he believes authorities are trying to intimidate him, and he is concerned about his elderly parents. And of course, you heard the interview he did with us as well just now. However, Inspector Desiree Ferguson told the Tribune yesterday that officers executed a search warrant around 6 p.m. on Monday on the apartment of one of Wilson's tenants, not at Mr. Wilson's residence. What? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. She said police received an official complaint about stolen items from a vehicle, and officers recovered items that were suspected of being stolen. She said, quote, "At no time did officers search the residence of the tenant. Emphatically, I can be clear that the police in no way were using this as a form of intimidation based on the disputes that he may have going on. Based on whatever his position or title is, this investigation that was launched by the police has no bearing on what he was doing on what was going on at BPL." Now, Wilson said that Monday was the third time in 4 days police came to his yard. And of course, you heard what he said about that already. But their apartment's there. So, boy, this is so. Let's read that first sentence again. The police said they searched the properties owned by Wilson after receiving a stealing complaint. Inspector Ferguson told the Tribune that officers executed a search warrant around 6 p.m. on Monday on the apartment of one of Wilson's tenants, not at Wilson's residence. She said police received an official complaint about stolen items from a vehicle, and officers recovered items that were suspected of being stolen.
Yard. Now, he says yard.
One of his tenants.
Of one of his tenants. He doesn't mention tenants.
No, but it sounds like he's saying they searched all.
You're right. I mean, it sounds like
right.
Yeah.
Including where his parents stay.
But one occasion there was a warrant, and he said the other occasions there wasn't.
And someone called him.
So the police wouldn't have cause to talk about the other two occasions.
That's interesting. That's an interesting observation there, Chester. Now, this is what Pintard is saying. F&M leader Michael Pintard said yesterday the timing of a police search of Kyle Wilson's home is curious, since the union president had recently voiced concern about matters at BPL. The Nassau Guardian reported yesterday, of course, that Wilson's home in New Providence and surrounding property was searched by the police. At a press conference, Pintard said the F&M does not know the circumstances surrounding the search of Wilson's home, but he said the reports are worrisome. He said, quote, "It is rather curious that during this period, so closely on the heels of the unions in general having commented, yes, the BPL arrangement, which they were not aware of, that they didn't know the details of, right on the heels of them expressing concern for their welfare as workers. If incident did occur, and we are hearing it has happened over a 3-day period, if this is true, this is a worrisome development." Now, Wilson said he was not home at the time, but he said relatives told him that the police had a warrant and were reportedly searching for drugs, stolen goods, and ammunition. He said 5 to 6 officers left after not finding anything. He said the search marked the third day police entered the property, but it was the first time they showed a warrant, and he feels this is an attempt to intimidate him. Okay, what's happening here? Let's get your reaction to it. Give us a call. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Toll free 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us 422-4796. All right, let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hi, good morning.
Okay. Did Mr. Wilson ever said who name that search warrant was in? Never said it, right?
No.
Okay. And also, if you have apartment complexes in your yard, you don't expect for the officers to come in the yard if they have a warrant for somebody who lives in one of the apartments?
I guess.
Well, what I see right here, a wanted poster of a particular person with the same last name. but not the first name, but the same last name. It looks just like him. Could be his cousin's brother or somebody. I think Mr. Wilson is actually being disingenuous in his speech, because if they never search his home and there are other residents in the yard, he needs to stop that foolishness, because I think the police already clarified what their search was and who they came to search for.
Well,
okay,
we're just hearing.
I suggest you guys go do an in-depth research on this. I have the photo right there. I can send it to you if you have a WhatsApp number, and you'll understand what they're saying. They have on it importation of firearms and ammunition. This particular person who they're looking for have the same last name.
I mean, there's a lot of people with that name, so I mean,
yeah, that's true. But what area does Mr. Wilson live in?
All right. Well,
they have the actual address where this person stay also.
What does it say?
It says Cork Street, Fox Hill.
Okay.
Right.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully, we'll get more information.
Just go do an in-depth research on this whole issue. Go ask the officers and find out what the search warrant is all about and who they came to. Because the warrant have to be in the person name who they came to search for.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Well, again, his family says they did search the other units, right, or at least the one where they were. Let's take this call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight. How are you?
Doing well.
Good morning, Chester.
Good morning.
Dwight, quite honestly, this feel like the boy crying wolf, okay? I mean, they searched the property. They didn't search his home, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, Wilson is looking for public sympathy after the way BC has been doing us. The union has been holding this country hostage when they can't get raises. I'm so sorry, but I don't feel sorry for him. And this is just a boy crying wolf for no reason. That's the way I feel. Sorry about that, but that's just how I feel.
I mean, okay, but they're searching your home, though. I mean, is it boy crying wolf if they're doing that? I don't know. Okay. Let's take this call. Good morning.
Morning, Dwight. Morning to your host.
Hi.
It's really sad, you know what I mean? It's really sad. Those first two callers, you understand? Because it like my grandma used to say, it ain't what you thinking, you know, it's what come out you that defiles you. And anytime it comes to national issues and stuff like that, callers like them always call, and you could smell it seeping through, protecting their political party. You understand? That the man might be having the leader of the union might be having some issues and stuff like that. But when it comes to your yard, police officers come to my yard too, and I confront them with what this is all about. And they better have a warrant if they can search. You understand me? If you come in my yard 2-3 times, and that it encompasses everything in that yard, and if they found articles that, according to what you said just now, their report, right? They found articles who was arrested and who was questioned. They say who was arrested out of the yard or who was questioned. That's utter nonsense, because it happened and Free Pintard is on the right trail. He ain't my favorite cup of tea. But when the FNM was in several years ago, and their chairman, computers and everything was taken out of their house against the Progressive Liberal Party, and Lincoln being them was all locked up for doing their constitutional rights out there. That is a trend with this party. And these callers need to stop it and be honest before we end up like our brothers and sisters around the corner.
Now, we have to be fair, though. I mean, so are we saying the politicians can influence the police in such a way that they would go just because of that? That's a really serious thing. And if we believe that is the case with the police
but
here...
you know how to slash and burn, man. When you hear these little political things seeping out these fellas and smell it, cut it down, man. Cut it down. Ain't nobody coming in my yard, whether police or not, to do no foolishness, man. Come on. Thanks, Dwight, for taking my call.
Okay. All right. A couple more calls on this.
Do we have
Chester,
the whistleblower? Did that ever happen? I doubt it. Just the name of it, they'd be like, yeah, let's write it, but put it on the shelf.
Let's take this call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Dwight and Chester. Alan Johnson.
Hi.
Dwight, you asked a question concerning should we be concerned about the police? If you begin to realize since for the 2.5 years that this government has been in, you've had a number of individuals and political parties and politically exposed people who have all been making the same claim. Normally, if one person says you're a donkey, you ignore them, and 10 says you are, you buy a saddle or something. And so it's ongoing. Remember the same accusation made concerning, coming from the opposition party, concerning the police somehow having reporters at a certain place at a certain time and not giving sufficient information for clarity. Well, it seems to be the same thing with this particular case. The policeman could have been very clear and concise in the explanation and addressing the concerns to 3 searchers. The policeman could have been extremely clear in who they were addressing. It's not a private information. Just like the so-called PLP fanatic, he seems to know in the minds of the police, in the minds of everything else, that no one, the police themselves, were inability to express. Maybe he should become the police spokesman. But now, let's come to BPL. Dwight, you have to understand, I've been talking about 10 years for this from the time you came on the air concerning the state of BPL and the fact that it will collapse the economy. Go back to your papers, and the Prime Minister stated the same, that BPL is in a critical situation. The economy depends on energy, is more and more so dependent. But here's the problem. As we begin to even move more and more towards so-called green energy, like let's use Freeport as an example. You have independent energy providers that is generating energy to the energy company for 10 cents or less while making a profit. Now, I want you to imagine that New Providence begins to do this whole going green, where energy drops, no oil surcharges, whatever. Without a proper strategy, the government could be left holding a bag of about $1 billion to $2 billion for legacy debt and for the new infrastructure going forward. Here's what happens. The government PPP that they are hiding, okay, like the Prime Minister said, the power company consists of generation, transmission, and distribution. Well, we're not privatizing the company. We're only privatizing generation, transmission, and distribution. So what are we keeping? The name? So when you look at the fact that you now have this, the government is trying to create a PPP for the lack of information to continue with the status quo, because we don't have the revenue or the fact that we don't have a replacement strategy.
Yeah, we're not really into talking about BPL today so much, but thanks for those views there. I know it's going to come up a lot more in a bit, if we ever hear what's really going on from the government. But yeah, we will definitely pick that up again. Let's get through these calls, though, and these text messages on this matter. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Strachan. Good morning, Chester. I'm sick of this place, man. I'm prompted to call because but let's see Allen and Johnson. We're talking about the mindless idiot, the selfish. I mean, Mr. Strachan, what I'm saying is, let's say first century, let's move forward. The camera's supposed to be, the lawyer's supposed to be to document this situation, Mr. Wilson. I don't even know who's Mr. Wilson. But what I'm saying is, why are we so naive as to the tactics, the bully boy tactics, the question you had asked previously, if politicians have influence over the police force? That's a naive question, right? You know that, man. But what I'm saying is, firstly, it should be recorded on cameras. They should have cameras. You're working for the public. We live in a country whereby we see the Gestapo-like actions by the officers, right? Firstly, you have guys with masks on, no numbers and no cameras. What does that mean to me as a citizen? I know exactly what it means, okay? Because I've been subject to this, right? And we don't care about nothing until it happens. So who is Mr. Darren Wilson that the police should come on this house with masks on, machine guns, and this type of intimidation that his mother should have palpitations? So what I'm saying is he an Escobar? So if you, like Robert said, you get intel on people. So if somebody has never been convicted of a gun possession, a murder, no rob, nothing, and you coming around his house with 50 police or 30 police or 20 police, I'm not even speaking in particular, I'm speaking in general, this is what they do. So they come around to intimidate people. Sometimes they only need 4 or 2 police officers to come to the house. So why are you coming with people and you could go and see the background, and these things are unwarranted, and you have people saying you don't have to feel sorry for anybody, but what I'm saying is one day it'll be you, tomorrow it's me. What I'm saying is we lack. Oh, God, let me say it right. This country sickens me, man, okay? We're not going to get anywhere because we can't be naive to believe that what we are seeing is not actually happening. And when you decide to let people influence the external reality, you are a fool in this life, in this journey. That's all you are, nothing more, nothing less. We have to move beyond party politics, and we see things that are happening before our eyes, and we can't conceive it for what it is. That's very pathetic for somebody like me.
Okay, all right, thanks a lot. Let's take this final call, and then we'll get to your messages. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Dwight, and good morning, Chester.
Hi.
Yeah, guys. I see this gentleman. I don't see him as what they call a boy crying for no wolf, because growing up in this Commonwealth of the Bahamas, everything is possible, right? And we don't know if you go up in the city or around, you know just how the police dumb operates, right? But what is sad to me, Dwight, right, is to hear trolls, right, who will come on your show and defend anything to save their party, right? If this gentleman is given a valuable contribution to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, right, and that's all we're supposed to be concerned about, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, right? We need to wake up in this country and protect ourselves, man, and stop trying to protect parties. Guys, have a nice day.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Let's get to your text messages.
Intimidation by the police force is someone trying to protect themselves. Not in the right way.
This is about what you're saying really about X. His mama named him Twitter. I'm going to call him Twitter.
I love it.
That's how I feel. Morning Plan, the use of the police to intimidate persons and political opponents is an old political trick. This was done in the past here in the Bahamas. It should stop immediately. The Bahamas is a backward, immature political country. Yep. Some interesting comments here. Everybody seems to know everybody's business. This is quite something.
Wasn't it?
It's just wild.
See, Alan mentioned someone in the Free National Movement whose house was searched, right? It was Michael Pintar, wasn't it?
I can't remember the timelines of all these things. But I
remember.
At some point,
vaguely remember him complaining about it.
Quite a few politicians have had these issues. And that's not why they oppose it. What's this about now? Oh, this is about the lawyers and the lawyers in opposing the elimination of jury trials. That's not why they oppose it. It's because the jury trial encourages many delays, and in many personal. And in my personal opinion, many of the jurors are sympathetic to the accused because they come from among them. Only my opinion. Yeah, I'm sure. Definitely a part of it. I believe Wilson is simply being bullied for standing up for his members. It appears as though a public matter is being made personal, or personal matters being made public. Anyone. Well, depending on which one you're talking about. Yeah, but both. Why didn't the police officers tell him from the jump that it had nothing to do with him when they told him they wanted to talk to him?
Well, he said they called him, but he didn't say what they said or why.
He just said typically wanted to talk to you.
Is that what they said?
They seem, from the article, the report.
I mean, if they're looking for you, typically they don't call you, right? Do they? Or maybe they do. I don't know.
Maybe they know how to reach that person as opposed to somebody else. I don't know. Boy, the government really got some serious puppets on the street. The worst government in the history of the Bahamas. $200,000 car and $12 billion in debt. We're in trouble. The worst, do you think? Wow. Well, boy, I don't know. It's a lot of competition for that title. I'm not sure if this one fits that bill yet. But okay. Dwight, where are you living? You don't remember when the police showed you the names are calling around? Yeah, that was a name. You remember that? Yes, I do remember that one. There's been quite a few. There have been quite a few who've had issues. Yeah, I asked that question because I'm saying if people say that's how it's been and how it still is, and we're still here, and everybody seems to be just accepting of it and fine with it, that the police can be used as a political tool, so willy-nilly and freely, we, as 52 was saying, I mean, we really have to call ourselves some bad words because you just sit back and allow it that easily. And it's hard to eliminate that type of corruption entirely, but people here just seem to accept it as that is the way it is and will always be. That's a problem.
The question is, what do you do about it? What can we do about it?
You can do a lot of things. It won't be pretty. But you have to have the will to do it. Well, it's very convenient, right? For 5 years, some people suffer, and so then the next 5, they're doing very well under the system, and so they like it like this, and many like it like this. It works for quite a few people, and that's likely why it's still like this. And this person says here, right now, there are 15 to 20 sailboats anchored off the Montague foreshore without any apparent monitoring in the midst of all of our problems of illegal guns, illegal migration, and human trafficking problems. I have Montague video.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that what?
I don't know what to say. I mean,
is that to say that those people haven't contacted immigration, etc., and customs to come and check them?
That they're not Bahamians? I don't know. I don't know what it means.
Most people who sail here in some way or form of fashion aren't Bahamians.
Especially on a sailboat.
Yeah.
If the union chief of BPL is targeted, can we not assume that BPL is intimately involved? This is an attempt to suppress discussion or opposition. 3 searches and no warrant for 2 prior searches. Today, the union head. Tomorrow, the rest of us. This one says, Dwight, the police do a bad job. The police SEAL team, I think you're trying to say. Is that what they're trying to say? I don't
SEAL
know.
team?
I don't see they say, but what's that? Anyway, with dogs, 12 officers and guns came to my house at, or maybe SWAT.
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 Yeah, probably SWAT.
SWAT.
Yeah.
SWAT team came with dogs, 12 officers, and guns came to my house at night with a search warrant, but had the wrong house. Yes, that happens a lot.
Yeah, the E's next to W, so yeah. And they live on the water if it's a SEAL team.
Well, we do. I'm not shedding any years. I guess it's supposed to be tears for the for the unions that side with government for jobs at the expense of the nation. But I'll never give the police force of the Bahamas any benefit of the doubt on what it says. If they wanted to be seen as fully trustworthy, they'd roll out body cams and push for electing their commissioner of police. See? It's just the tool for whatever party rules until then.
Sometimes I wonder what some of these people be sitting in church thinking. They're scared.
I noticed those boats along East Bay Street, too. It looks strange. They're not Bahamians. The boats are anchored. They've been there all week.
Boy, you should check some of the other islands.
Yeah, everyone's remembering people who've been searched. Yeah, it happens. It continues to happen. Or we've got an issue. What are we going to do about it? You just accept it? This is how it is.
This is part of we got 2 parties. It's got the same people except for one, I guess, kind of running it the whole, 50 years. What do you expect? And then we just keep flip-flopping the parties.
Yeah.
This is the same people doing the same stuff over and over again. I mean, like you say, what do we expect?
Yeah.
And can we do something about it? I mean, again, we just keep flip-flopping.
We do. On this text, as we go to the break, even the blind can see that the BPL union chief is being harassed by the political establishment, but this is hardly new. And concerning Botswana, it's sad that a country whose diamonds are exploited in a 50% partnership with the South African, naming off companies' names, is being heralded as a paragon of economic success. Maybe we hope to benefit from Botswana's banking system.
Well, the president called a name during his speech. But he said they got out of that contract.
Well, hey, we're going to take a break. We'll be back after the news. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
I'll be damned if I can't slow dance with you. Come pour some sugar on me, honey, too. It's a real live boogie and a real live hold down. Don't be a... Come take it to the...
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for your smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. And now at 8:24, time for another check of your weather for today. Brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Here's what's going on. We've got a stalled frontal boundary across the southeast Bahamas that's going to generate some shower activity as it gradually weakens today. Meanwhile, weak high pressure across the remainder of the islands will support stable conditions along with gentle to moderate breezes. Got a number of warnings, though. There remains a threat of waterspout activity in the southeast Bahamas, and boaters and beachgoers should exercise caution due to the possible rip currents in the northern and eastern shorelines in the northwest and central Bahamas. Your forecast for today, this first full day of spring 2024, we've got in the northwest and central Bahamas, partly sunny and warm, with a few possible stray showers, mainly in the central Bahamas. Fair and mild tonight. Small craft caution in effect due to swells. For the southeast Bahamas, mostly cloudy and warm with isolated showers and thunderstorms through tonight. Expect gusty winds and higher seas in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Temperatures today definitely more comfortable than yesterday. Highs getting up into the low 80s, about 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 64 Fahrenheit, 18 Celsius. In your extended outlook, that frontal boundary will continue to weaken as it gradually drifts south of the islands. Another cold front expected to move into the northwest Bahamas by late Friday, bringing strong to near gale force winds, and building seas, as well as widespread showers and thunderstorms into the weekend. So, ahead of that, for Thursday, tomorrow, partly sunny and mild with a few possible residual showers across the southeast Bahamas, becoming breezy at night. A small craft caution will come into effect by the evening. And then for Friday, look for variably cloudy, warm, and windy conditions with widely scattered showers and a few possible thunderstorms late in the evening hours across the northwest Bahamas. Small craft operators will be advised by Friday to remain in port. That's your Morning Blend weather check, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Sherwin-Williams Paints has got you covered for all of your painting and equipment needs. Visit Sherwin-Williams Paints online or in-store today. And time for a check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC, a bank for all of you. In your real-time traffic, a number of hot spots to talk about this morning. We've got Independence Drive seeing some heavy traffic both directions, especially eastbound. Heading towards roundabout with East Street. Westbound is busy too, again, heading toward Blue Hill Road. Blue Hill Road seeing lots of heavy traffic from well south of the junction with St. Vincent Road, straight through Carmichael and Soldier Road all the way up to the roundabout with Independence Drive. Over on Milo Butler Highway, heavy traffic from south of Bellet Road straight through the roundabout with Fire Trail if you're heading northbound to the roundabout with Tawny Williams-Darling Highway. Traffic back up along Fire Trail as well. At the Six-Legged roundabout, we're seeing issues eastbound on JFK, northbound on Milo Butler Highway, southbound on New Providence Highway, and on Farrington Road as well. And then at Saunders Beach, heavy traffic for you at West Bay Street eastbound, heading toward that roundabout with New Providence Highway. Glass Road busy for you as well from Fire Trail straight up to the roundabout with John F. Kennedy Drive if you're heading northbound this morning. And then in eastern New Providence, we've got from San Souci to about Johnson Road as usual, heavy traffic westbound. Foxhill is busy for you northbound as well. And then Prince Charles Drive along the major intersections, and especially at Soldier and Robinson, and Robinson's busy near Old Trail, straight through to East-West Highway this morning. That's what we're looking at in your real-time traffic. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert, brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/all of you.
RBC. Are you buying a home, renovating, or exploring mortgage options? With cash back and up to 90% financing, we'll find the perfect mortgage for you. Pre-qualify in just 60 seconds and get connected with a mortgage specialist today. Visit rbc.com/mortgages/all of you. RBC. Conditions apply.
You've seen electric cars on the road, but isn't it time you drive one? Easy Car Sales invites you to experience the smooth, powerful ride and immerse yourself in the luxury and latest tech features. Find out why the Bahamas is going electric. Visit easy242.com and book your test drive now. What are you waiting for? Save money, drive smarter. There's an EV waiting for you at Easy Car Sales.
Do you have uncontrollable debt? Are you ready to make that move to Fidelity for a stress-free future? These loans have a built-in savings plan that pays you unbeatable interest. Ask about our debt consolidation loans today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Motor Insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Atlantic Insurance Agents and Brokers. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
Tuberculosis, or TB, is an airborne disease that mainly affects the lungs. When people infected with TB cough, sneeze, sing, or laugh, droplets with the bacteria that causes TB can be released into the air and may affect others. Some people are at higher risk of developing the disease if exposed to the TB bacteria. If you were in close contact with someone with active TB disease, recently traveled to a country where TB is common, have uncontrolled diabetes, have HIV/AIDS, are malnourished, live or work in a hospital, prison, or nursing home, or are a child under the age of 5 years old who was in contact with someone with active TB, you may be in the tuberculosis high-risk group. Contact your healthcare provider or the Ministry of Health's Tuberculosis Surveillance Unit immediately at 502-4728 or 502-4803. Tuberculosis is preventable and curable. The clock is ticking. Let's end TB.
This message brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness and this station.
Every day in a busy world, we have to do so much. Bank with CIBC and get that personal touch. Share your ambitions, let us help your dreams come true. At CIBC, we're at the heart of all we do. We're on your side, we're listening, we know the way you feel. CIBC, ambitions made real.
At Wendy's, we are different. We don't just use beef. It's fresh, never frozen. Our burgers are square because we never cut corners. Served hot off the grill with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and American cheese. We believe in fast food done right. Always serving fresh, never frozen beef. Order a hot, juicy Dave single, double, or triple. Made with fresh, never frozen beef. Now only at Wendy's. Different inside and out.
In 2023, over 9 million visitors came to the Bahamas. This year, we plan on shattering that record. That's why tourism is everyone's business.
Paradise is not only found in Nassau, but throughout our 16-island destination.
No matter who you are or what you do, we all have a part to play in our tourism industry.
This is our country.
These are our islands.
This is our home.
That's why tourism is everyone's business.
RBC debit card holders, collecting a new RBC Visa debit chip card just got easier with Saturday opening hours. Visit our Cable Beach, Carmichael Road, Palmdale, and Prince Charles branches March 16th and March 23rd between 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. with one form of valid government-issued ID. Start enjoying greater security and contactless features with your new RBC Visa debit chip card now. RBC.
This Easter, from March 29th to April 3rd, witness history in the making at the Betty Kelling-Kenning Aquatic Center. Cheer on Team Bahamas as we dive into history, swimming our way towards a 6th straight victory at the Carifta Aquatics. Feel the thrill of competition as 500 athletes from 24 countries from across the Caribbean converge in the Bahamas for the championship title. Immerse yourself in the greatest youth athletic spectacle being held in the Bahamas this year. Watch live as champions are born, records are shattered, and dreams are realized. The Carifta Aquatics isn't just a competition. It's a showcase of the future of swimming right in the heart of Nassau. Mark your calendars. This Easter, March 29th to April 3rd, the Carifta Aquatics at the Betty Kelling-Kenning Aquatic Center. See ticket information and full schedule at cariftaaquatics.com. See you at the poolside.
It's Nassau Tile's March Madness sale, and we're celebrating 94 years in business by giving 20% off store-wide. Catch the sale on all tiles, thin set, grout, mosaics, and more. Save 25% off select porcelain tiles, 30% off ceramic tiles, and up to 40% off selected wall tiles. Our experts will guide you in your selection. Visit our showroom on Doswell Street or call 322-2100 to make your dream space a reality. Don't miss the March Madness sale, March 18th to 28th.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Don't shop at Sherwin-Williams.
The start of the
new day. Love is really, really strong in Sherwin-Williams. We don't just sell paint. We service you with a smile, good hearts, mind, soul, and body. And we love our customers as much as we love ourselves. Yes, real talk. I'm not just saying this to impress myself. We love to go beyond with customer service. So they feel delighted to come in Sherwin-Williams because they know I can either see Dee Dee, or I can see Shelly, or one of our other wonderful staff members. We treat our customers with the respect of our boss because there are many paint companies they could choose to go to. No, baby. If they go to some other paint companies, so I'm going to get this little thing at the end of the week.
We want to make sure you get that little thing, Shelley. Come visit Shelley and Dee Dee at Sherwin-Williams, Bahamas, and you'll surely find color in every day.
In 2023, over 9 million visitors came to the Bahamas. This year, we plan on shattering that record. That's why tourism is everyone's business.
Paradise is not only found in Nassau, but throughout our 16-island destination.
No matter who you are or what you do, we all have a part to play in our tourism industry.
This is our country.
These are our islands.
This is our home.
That's why tourism is everyone's business.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and carb body fasteners too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
Wherever you're headed, the Custom Computers Know-How team is standing by to help guide you in the East and the West. We now have 2 convenient locations on Patton Street in Palmdale and our newest store in the Caves Village Shopping Plaza through the Blake Road entrance. Discover the latest products by top international brands and the knowledge you need to unleash tomorrow's technology today. Drop by Custom Computers out east or out west. We're open Saturdays from 10 till 4.
It's Easter time again, and it's time to stop by Paradise Fisheries, located at number 16 Harley Street, Mount Royal Avenue. We are now accepting those large orders for fish fries on Good Friday. So give us a call today at 325-3301 or stop by our stores between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday to Fridays and 9 a.m. on Saturdays. Paradise Fisheries, still your one-stop shop for all of those Easter desires.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strong with Chester Robards. March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, and we are talking about that this morning on the show. Very pleased to have back with us Dr. Marcus Cooper, and we have Dr. Dwight and Stacey Marshall with us as well. Everybody, good morning. Welcome back. Great to have you all with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi. Good morning. Dr. Cooper.
Yes, sir.
Get a little closer to the mic there.
Okay.
Haven't seen you much since last year when you were all up in my intestines.
You've been avoiding it. I don't know if you could have put that.
I don't know how else to say it.
We just talked about how to put things.
Right. We just talked about it. But anyway, good to see you again.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk about this. A lot of people told me, I don't know if you got that, that they heard you, they heard us, they saw the pictures, all that we did last year, and they were inspired to finally get their colonoscopies. Have you noticed a change since you've been out there making these pleas for people to get checked out?
Absolutely. And you did play a major part in educating the masses, making people feel comfortable, dispelling the myths so that people are at least receptive to the message. They come and they talk about it, tell me about this colonoscopy. I saw Dwight Strachan had his done. He didn't complain that it was painful, like a lot of people say. And so this is the word that I've been trying to get out. It's been over 10 years now since I came back, just getting people comfortable with the idea of colon cancer screening. Health literacy in the Bahamas is pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know what a colon is, right? In high school, you learn about the large intestine and the small intestine.
Mm-hmm.
When someone says colon cancer, people kind of like, where's your colon?
Mm.
So it's been a journey. It's been a process of getting Bahamians to understand what colon cancer is and the purpose of screening and how it can prevent colon cancer. We know a lot about breast cancer. We know a lot about prostate cancer, but colon cancer was kind of a third line. And so we have done lots of work. We have had lots of partners. We have people like Dwight and Stacey, Andrea, who had a fun run walk. This Emily, her sister, who's now continuing the fun run walk. Mm-hmm. Lots of people that are advocating, that are educating, that are informing, and Bahamians are getting the word.
Well, okay. All right, Dwight and Stacey, we'll get to you in a second. But let's talk about it. Colon, why it's important to check it out, when you need to check it out, what do you need to look out for?
Right. So the important message that I like to get out is that colon cancer is, in almost all cases, preventable. It's one of the few, if not the only cancer that you can prevent from screening. Prostate cancer, sometimes even if you screen, you can get it. Breast cancers, we have people, just heard a story last week, mammogram, and then 4 months later, big lump in the breast,
Oh, wow.
breast cancer, stage 3. Colon cancer, it grows slowly enough that if you get checked early before you start having symptoms, you will definitely detect these polyps. When they're benign, we take them out and you will prevent yourself from getting colon cancer. For those of you who are listening who don't know what the colon is, like I said before, the colon is the large intestine. It's where a lot of things happen, and it's where colon cancer begins. And so if you have some sort of colon cancer screening, a colonoscopy is the gold standard. You can prevent yourself from ever having colon cancer or even having to have that discussion about colon cancer with your physician.
Right. And you should be doing this at 45.
At 45 and every 7 to 10 years. So it's not every year, it's not every 2 years. It's a very long interval in between. The process takes about 20 minutes, and as you can attest, it's painless. Usually most people will have the best sleep of their life. There's some prep that happens the day before that allows us to see and identify these small polyps and to remove them. But it's not a difficult process. It's nothing to really be afraid of, and everybody should get it done at that age of 45.
Right. Now, there are some people who might need to do this earlier than 45?
That's correct. So if you have a first-degree relative who was diagnosed with colon cancer, and this is why it's important to know about your family history, a first-degree relative diagnosed with colon cancer before the age of 60, then you should be having your colonoscopy 10 years before that person was diagnosed, right? So if you have somebody in your family who was diagnosed at 50, then you should be starting at 40. And the interval is every 5 years as opposed to every 7 to 10 with the average risk population.
Wow.
So get to know your family history. If you think somebody in your family had colon cancer, and sometimes, Bahamians are very secretive about their health. But if you suspect, talk to your doctor, get your screening done early so that you can avoid the same thing.
Right. And if you do find polyps, what does that mean? Does that necessarily mean cancer?
Not at all. So polyps are a continuum. You have very small polyps that are benign. You have larger polyps that are precancerous. And if you remove them, no additional treatment is necessary. And then you may have polyps that have cancer in it. In any of those stages, if you catch it early and you remove it, you will not have to have any additional therapy. Right? It's when a polyp becomes invasive and aggressive and it turns to cancer, then you may need additional therapy like surgery and chemotherapy. But don't wait to have symptoms, right? People are always asking me, what should I be looking out for? Don't look out for anything. Get it done at 45 so that before you start to feel symptoms, we can identify these things and take them out.
Is there something that causes polyps in the first place?
I think it has there's lots of theories, right? So diets that are low in fiber is one of the main factors that we think can incite polyps to become cancer, which is a typical Bahamian diet, right? Lots of grease, lots of fat, very little greenery on the plate, a lot of processed foods. These things start possibly some inflammation in the colon that develops into a polyp, and the polyp grows over time to become cancer. So obesity and smoking. We don't have a big smoking population here, but the obesity and the low fiber diets. I think we're poster childs across the globe for obesity and diets that are very low in fiber. So our rates of colon cancer are definitely going up because of lifestyle-related things that we do every day.
Tell us more about that. Like, what are you seeing, and how much are they going up by?
Well, I'll tell you. I got some information from we now have a national cancer registry. Up until 2021, I have information. In the public setting, we had about close to 100 just in the public sector alone. And in the private sector, we probably have another 30 or 40. So this is annually. We probably have about 140 cases being diagnosed of colon cancer.
What stages are we looking at?
Most of when we did the research, most were between stages 2 and 3. Stage 3 means that you have some involvement of lymph nodes, which will require surgery and usually chemotherapy. So globally, the world has recognized that people of African descent, that black folk get colon cancer earlier, and it's more aggressive. And this is why the recommendation said start screening at 45 in black people as opposed to 50.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of what we're seeing globally and definitely what we're seeing in the Bahamas.
Yeah. Doc, we'll get back to you in a bit, but Dwight and Stacey Marshall, let's talk about your involvement in this and what you all are doing during this period.
Well, good morning, and thank
Hi.
you for having me here this morning. So, this is very personal for me because my brother Peter, who is 4 years older than me, he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer in October of 22. He was 52 years old. We have no prior family history. He did have a few issues, but they told him, oh, you've got irritable bowel syndrome. Don't worry about it. Take some over-the-counter medicine. He had requested a colonoscopy at 50 when he turned 50, but they told him, oh, you don't have any family history. There's nothing for you to be worried about.
Who's the they?
The doctors, his doctors. Yeah, he lives in the United States, but he is a Bahamian, born here, navel string buried here. So he is a Bahamian. And fast forward the story. 2 years later, the symptoms started to get pretty intense, and I was traveling back and forth regularly, so I was seeing the changes and the deterioration. And we really, really encouraged him to go in and get a scan. And initially, he did a CAT scan, which the radiologist was like, look, I'm like 90% sure that this is, cancer. You need to get this checked out. Wow. Within like a week or 10 days, he was in surgery to remove the mass from his colon, which they were able to get the entire mass. But now, it's still the whole process. It had metastasized to some tumors in his liver and his lungs, and he's just fighting. Now, he is fighting hard, and he is winning the battle. We have claimed it. And, one of the things that he's had a really great attitude towards it. He believes that, perhaps, God put him in this position because our family is very, well known, and our reach goes far. And we've had friends that have gone and gotten tested as a result. Some have found polyps very early. So, Pete looks at it like maybe this is where God needed me to be in order to be a voice for others. But one of the things that Dr. Cooper has said, and I want everyone to listen to this morning, this is a cancer that is preventable. All right? Come on, Bahamas. It's not rocket science. And at the other side of this, there are a whole lot of regrets. There's a whole lot of what ifs. What if I had done? What if you had just gone and gotten this colonoscopy? And listen, if your insurance won't cover it, the money is very well spent. I can guarantee you that, because how much money does chemo cost? And how many stakeouts are we going to have to support when we could have been preventative, on the front side? So go in and get these colonoscopies. It's not that hard. It is so not painful. And moms, let me tell you, some of the best rest, that I have had was when I went to get my colonoscopy. And I'll admit, the hardest part for me was drinking the stuff, it's just overwhelming. Anytime you're forced to drink something, mine didn't taste bad. And my doctor told me, I went to Dr. Major. Because that's who had a quick appointment. Dr. Cooper, was a little busy, but that's all right. And I was a little nervous. Yeah, I needed to have it right away because of my brother's diagnosis. I needed to know what was going on. But they told us to put a little bit of clear Gatorade in it. You can put some apple. You can get it down. And I got that good rest under that propofol or whatever it is that they got me. That's why I was like Michael Jackson. I kind of understood what he was going for. But it was so worth it on the other side for me to know what my status was and to know that my colon was clear. And I'm not going to listen to any doctor tell me to wait 10 years. No, I'm going to be going and getting mine regularly because it is now a part of my family history. Yeah. So, this is a testament for the people who are out there saying, I feel fine, everything is fine. No, you don't know what is going on. And it is so worth it just to know. And we spend money, I don't know out of pocket what it costs, but we spend money on foolishness. With birthday party, we're going to have a t-shirt that said, Mama the birthday boy. We're going to go on vacation. We're going to buy the new sneakers. We're going to buy the new clothes. We got lashes. We got hair. We got everything going on. Make your health a priority.
Yeah, absolutely. Namesake, you've done yours as well?
Yeah.
You realize he was in radio, right?
We can tell. We can tell.
He's ready to take over the show.
It's fine. I need a rest. I can go.
I did mine. My involvement came after a very good friend of mine, Phil Ramming, died. We coached together for, a lot of people know Phil, from football and John Canoe and everything else. And we coached together for the last, 7 years or something. And, for persons that have no experience with colon cancer, we think for somebody with colon cancer, they have to have a certain look.
Yeah.
You think they're going to look frail and sick. And no, not Phil. Phil is the picture of health. Gym every day, doing everything, the picture of health. And for that to happen to him, it was a shock to me, because I was like, well, it ain't a look. And he was already at stage 4 when he was diagnosed.
Oh, boy.
And he was diagnosed at age 39.
Wow.
So there had to been some, according to Dr. Cooper, some genetic predisposition to this. And to watch what he went through, it was eye-opening for me, right? I was stressed. I was stressed watching him go through what he went through, and to know that now that it's preventable. It's like Stacey says, there's regret, like what if? And I went and had mine, and I was one of those guys too, like, no, ain't nobody doing that to me. Not a baby man go, no, ain't nobody doing that to me. I just have to, I ain't find out. Because they think, it's so invasive and everything else, but there were no side effects. The toughest thing was getting down the solution.
Yeah.
Right, that was the toughest thing.
And how invasive is it when you have to have surgery?
Yeah,
right. Imagine that part.
Let's put this
Get
in
right to
perspective.
that.
Yeah, let's put this in perspective. How invasive is surgery? Okay, how tough is chemo? How tough are the pills and everything that you have to take and everything that you put your family through? So let's just think about it this way: when you're out there thinking like, "Ain't nobody gonna be touching me down there," okay, well you're gonna get a whole bunch of touching when the cancer shows up.
For Dr. Marshall, and she took the mic. Yeah, but I went and had mine, and I was, again, you're afraid because all kinds of crazy things go to your mind. What are they going to find? That sort of stuff. But it's, like you said, it's best to know. And fortunately for me, it was clean. There was not even a polyp, nothing.
Excellent.
So it was clean. So. And the doctor told me, you can come back again in 10 years. I was like, no, 5. Y'all can see me next year.
Y'all gonna know us.
Oh,
I get
wow.
paranoid enough, y'all see me next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's worth it. And, it's something, like you said, it's the only one that's preventable, right? That you can, So why not do it? Like it's the hang-ups we have are crazy compared to watching somebody go through what I watched Phil go through.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I have something else to say. I want us also to be mindful because, like Dr. Cooper will tell us, there's signs. Is there blood in your stool? If you're having some gastro issues, that's what Dr. Cooper specializes in. So, sometimes we'll say, man, this is just a little, tummy ache or something like that. Go get it checked out. Like, what are you doing? Why are we ignoring our health? And I get it. This whole health insurance thing, that is a battle. It can, feel overwhelming. But, I've often heard my husband say when it comes to just our lifestyle diseases. So we complain that good food is expensive, healthy food is expensive. Well, how expensive is diabetes medication and high blood pressure medication? Let's just put it in perspective.
Yeah.
So once again, stop with all the excuses, get out there and make it happen. Get to your doctor, whether it be Dr. Cooper, Dr. Major, and there are other doctors here. Go get checked.
Yeah.
It sounds like the symptoms as you go through the stages are still very innocuous.
Yeah, it's not until you get to stage 3 or 4 that you actually start to have symptoms. So in the very early stages 1, 2, you feel nothing. There's no change in your bowel movements. There's no blood in your stool. There may be microscopic amounts of blood in your stool that you don't see.
Right.
And that brings me to another point. So there are options for colon cancer screening. Colonoscopy is the gold standard. But you don't have to do the gold standard. So there are stool tests that detect these microscopic amounts of blood. It's a non-invasive test. You can do it every year. And if the stool test comes back positive, then you get referred for a colonoscopy. The other thing is that we do colonoscopies at Princess Margaret Hospital. So in the public sector, they will do the stool test and then triage you. So if you have a positive stool test, they'll send you tests in the public system. You get your colonoscopy done. It takes a little longer because we got a whole lot, there's only a few of us for the entire Commonwealth of the Bahamas, but you get it done.
Yeah.
So get something done. Talk to your doctor about what options are available for you and just get it done.
All right, so Stacey was talking about it. The how much is it? People are asking about it. It is not cheap, but let's talk about the price.
Right. So if you do it in the private sector, like during the months of March and April, we have a significant discount. It's about $1,700. That's all in.
That's with the discount.
That's with the discount. If you get it done in the public sector, it's a lot less. However, to get a colonoscopy in the public sector, you have to go through your primary care physician, and they'll start with the stool test. So we can't just screen every 45-year-old person in the hospital. They'll do the stool test. If it's positive, they'll send you to us. We get it done.
And the public, do you have to pay for it, or
there is a fee? Healthcare is not free, Bahamas. This is why we have so many issues in the public sector now, because we don't get the revenue to expand services, to improve services, to get equipment. So it's not free, but it's not a huge burden. I think it's $400, something like that.
And once again, let's put that $1,600, $1,700 discounted price in perspective. You know, we spend $1,600, $1,700. We're going on vacation. We're, hanging out. If you add up all the eating out at Baha Mar, the drinking, the happy hours, the fine clothes, the luxury purses and shoes and lashes and hair. And when you put it in perspective of your health, then $1,600, $1,700, even full rate, is not a lot of money for your health. Because how much does chemotherapy cost? Okay? Yeah. Let's put it in perspective, because I don't want people to use the excuse that I don't have that kind of money. Put the money aside. Save that money and say, okay, I'm going to get my colonoscopy. Let me put a little bit of money down. Let me not get something done. Let me not waste this money here, because my health has to be a priority.
Absolutely. And do you know how much insurance will cover? What can you tell us about
So the insurance companies will cover it. There are some insurance companies that are a lot better than others, and I won't specify who. But yes, the insurance companies will cover it. Depending on your plan, you may have a copay. At the beginning of the year, insurance companies will also have a deductible that applies. So there are some, some things that you need to know about your insurance. Talk to your agent, talk to your insurance company, see what your benefits are. This is what insurance is for, right? So use it. We have lots of Bahamians that have insurance, that pay for it every single month and never use it.
Yeah, crazy.
I think
never use it.
I
And
think
this
my
is what
insurance
is for.
covered somewhere around half or close to half.
Yeah, usually half, 80% usually.
80%.
Yeah, with a lot of insurance
Mine was
plans.
80%, but guess what? I was going to pay 100% if they didn't cover it, because that's how important it is.
Wow. All right, we've got some text messages coming. You can text us as well, 422-4796, or call in. We're talking with Dr. Marcus Cooper and Dwight and Stacey Marshall. Give us a call, 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Call us toll free, 242-300-5720. This texter's asking, you go?
No, I was going to say mine was done by Dr. Munnings, right? And he was like, yeah, you should call Dwight, and said, so we could do what he did with with Dr. Cooper. I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. but shout out to Dr. Munnings. It was great. It was...
You didn't want to do it on the show?
It was easy. No, thanks.
No, okay. Okay, Dwight Marshall mentioned it earlier about people thinking it is invasive, Dr. Cooper. Tell us about the procedure and how it works. I mean, you won't feel anything.
Right. So like Stacey said, like Dwight said, the day before, you have to drink some stuff to clean out your bowels. It's a gallon. We're actually hopefully going to be getting very soon a lower volume prep.
Oh, wow.
That's a little more talk.
Now you're getting it.
Okay. So for your next time around, we should have a lower volume prep.
Great.
But we split it up. So there's a split prep. We give you half earlier late in the afternoon, and then the other half later on in the nighttime. And that's the hardest part. The next day when you come in, we give you an IV. We put a little cocktail in there, some sky juice, I like to call it, and it makes you drowsy and comfortable. We go in with the scope. We're basically looking for these polyps, right? So we're searching. And if the better your prep is, the cleaner your colon is, the more confident we are when we're done that, look, everything is clean, or you had one polyp, we took it out, we sent it to the lab right away, we get the results back. It's not a cancerous polyp. In most cases, we see you in 7 to 10 years, right?
Would it make sense? Would it be a problem if you were to clean yourself out like that every year? Does that make sense? Or
Yeah,
even more frequently?
So if one is good, then two is better, right? That kind of concept. So that's where the whole colonic business is coming in, right?
Yeah.
So the theory behind colonics is that if you kind of flush your bowels out on a regular basis, then you can prevent some of these things. I'm not going to throw
skeptical about that.
I'm not going to throw any shade on the colonic business, but I will say, from a physiological standpoint and an anatomical standpoint, if I clean out your bowels like I do for a colonoscopy today, and you start eating garbage tomorrow, is there a lasting benefit to having your colon clean for one day? The answer is probably no. Right? So there's also this notion that, there's all kind of crud that kind of hangs out in your bowel for years and you have to get it out. That's not true. And this is where the high fiber diet comes in, right? So fiber is like a scrubber almost. And it keeps the colon clean. It keeps you regular, keeps your bowel movements. There are some people who have very resistant constipation. We deal with them separately. But for the most part, the high fiber diet keeps things moving through. You don't have it increases your colon transit time. So you want food to just move on through and not kind of hang around. So not really, in my opinion, flushing out your bowels every year is not really going to have a lasting benefit, much less than a high fiber diet that's doing the job and causing people to have regular bowel movements and things are moving through.
Okay. All right. Well, a lot of people and their businesses right now cringing.
In my opinion.
Right, okay.
The prep wasn't the worst part for me. It was
yeah?
was the diet restriction during that little period.
Oh, really?
It's one
that
day.
was hard. It wasn't difficult, but it was hard. What is it? White food you're supposed to be eating?
No, you're on a clear liquid diet the day before. It's one day.
And then, but the day before, right? You're supposed to be eating.
You're eating nothing.
You don't need to do that. White food, fish.
Well, we do recommend. I mean, for technical reasons, that you don't consume a lot of fiber a few days before the colonoscopy, only because the stuff gets stuck in the scope when you're going through.
Okay.
But for the most part, the day before the procedure, you're on a clear liquid diet, and then you start drinking the prep before.
Right.
And if you it just tells me you guys need to go to church more.
Fast. Yeah, I saw that
If
coming.
you were fasting,
I saw that coming.
If you had a history of fasting,
So,
it should be a no-brainer.
This is what my in-laws did.
It wasn't so difficult for Dwight
See?
to not eat, but we had my sister's 40th birthday, my sister-in-law's 40th birthday party.
That's mean.
And it was at a restaurant, and Dwight went because he's such a trooper. And then he was sitting there, and the food was so good.
He probably looked just like this.
Oh my gosh, he couldn't eat. I was like,
wow,
Dwight, you're so disciplined. And she was like, thank you for coming. Like, oh my gosh, he could not eat. It was torture.
He had to drink the house water.
Okay.
Drinking water.
Yeah, that's all he kept. He was drinking water.
My goodness.
But it's just not so bad. I mean, like he says, we fast for church.
Yeah.
There's so many other reasons that you have to fast. And so, and getting that, the liquid down, again, if you add just a little bit of something to it just to make it a little more, because it's not that it tastes bad, it's not like it's bitter. It's just overwhelming.
The volume.
Dwight's probably
of
speak
it.
for yourself.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it
bitter,
didn't taste
right?
bad, but the
Yeah.
volume, just
the
a
solution
gallon doesn't
has
sound
no
like a lot,
flavor.
but when you have to do it in that period of
The
time.
last quarter is the worst.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
looking for it to be at the bottom,
Yeah.
and it never comes.
I couldn't. I didn't tell Dr. Cooper this, but I couldn't finish it. But he said, but he said I was clean.
Yeah, your pictures look good.
This is the problem with our country right now. We don't finish anything.
Okay.
I couldn't do it. I was in my fridge for days after the colonoscopy. I'm like, one day, maybe I should drink this now. But anyway, this person says, would long-term GERD and hemorrhoids be symptoms that should warrant a colonoscopy?
No. Long-term GERD or acid reflux, that's the other end of the tube. Hemorrhoids, possibly, right? So if you're bleeding from hemorrhoids, first of all, has somebody diagnosed you with hemorrhoids? Or did your auntie tell you or your brother tell you that you have hemorrhoids? Don't assume that you have hemorrhoids, right? Let a medical professional examine you and say this is hemorrhoids. If you're seeing blood, I always tell people blood in the stool is not normal. So if you're seeing blood, I usually will recommend that you get a colonoscopy. Maybe in a very, very young person who has obvious hemorrhoids, I'll delay it. But if you're above the age of 45 and you have bleeding hemorrhoids, I want to know that that's the only problem.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I think you might have mentioned this. Is the FIT stool test here in the Bahamas, since it's only one stool sample and we don't have to change our diet to do it?
Yes. So the FIT test is here. We're not yet using it in the public clinics, and I'll explain what the FIT test is. FIT stands for Fecal Immunochemical Test, FIT. The FIT test is a stool test that I mentioned before that detects the microscopic amounts of blood in your stool. So you can do a FIT test every year.
They have this at doctors?
They have it at doctors.
Yeah, all
the labs have a FIT
Okay.
test. It's only the public sector where we're kind of lagging behind. So you can get this stool test, and if it's positive, it says, okay, there's some microscopic amounts of blood in your stool. It's pretty specific for bleeding from your large intestine or your colon. You should definitely get a colonoscopy.
Right.
So that's the other option I was talking about. That's not as expensive. It's not invasive. And if it's positive, it tells you, something's going on. You need to take a look. If it's negative, then you can repeat it following year.
And then last year we talked about it. We see the ads for Cologuard all the time.
Yes.
Is that something that people can use as well?
Correct. Cologuard is another stool test. It's a multi-detection test, so it looks for lots of different markers. It does similarly the same thing that a FIT test does. It identifies microscopic amounts of blood, and it can also identify colon cancer.
Okay. Again, just run through it. People asking again, they might have tuned in late about the cost. And some people saying, is this a barrier to people doing this procedure?
No. So the cost in the private sector. So it's like you going to Miami, right? You could go on a boat. You could go to catch the boat, or you can go to Freeport and catch the boat, the ferry, or you can catch a plane, or you could go economy, or you can go first class, right? So the colonoscopy is the gold standard because you don't have to do it, but every 10 years once you have it done. So being able to identify polyps and remove them allows you not to have to do this thing so early. The FIT test would be the other end of the spectrum. It's a lot cheaper, not as invasive, doesn't cost much, but you have to do it every year. The cost of a colonoscopy, again, because I know people like to know about costs, somewhere around $1,700 during the month of March and April in most facilities.
Okay, let's see if we can take this call. Caller, are you there? Are you there? All right, hold on, caller. We're going to get to you in a second. This text, I don't know. Is there a difference, this is a text, between the regular colonoscopy and the virtual procedure?
Yes. So all good questions, right? So there are options to colon cancer screening. We talked about the FIT. Then there's the virtual colonoscopy. The virtual is a scan. It's like a CAT scan. You still have to do the prep to clean out, but you don't have to get sedated. They put a probe into your rectum, and they inject some dye pretty much. They inflate you with air. That's the uncomfortable part of it because you're not sedated and you're awake. And lots of, anyway. So it's a little uncomfortable. They take a picture and then they digitally recreate the inside of your colon and they look for polyps. If it's normal, that's great. You should do it every 5 years. But if they find something, then they have to send you for a colonoscopy.
So you still have to do it.
So you still have to do it if you find something.
Yeah. All right, let's take this call really quickly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
Hi, you're live on.
Well, calling in as someone who was diagnosed with...
Oh, this is my brother, Peter.
Oh, okay. Okay, Peter.
Just calling in as someone who was diagnosed with it. And, I don't know if you guys have questions for me. I mean, I could talk all day about what I went through, but I was listening there to the doc, and definitely...
Pete, I just want you to encourage people as someone who...
You off guard.
I want you to encourage our public out here, our Bahamian public, our brothers and sisters, as someone who is in the battle. I want you to encourage them to go and get their colonoscopies.
I mean, that is without question. The reality is that black people in particular seem to be getting this at higher rates. There is no way to know other than getting a colonoscopy. It's not one of those things that shows until you already have cancer in most cases. So if you are, I would say, 40. They keep dropping the age over here. If you are 40, you need to go get a colonoscopy. Just to take a look. There may be a polyp. Nothing going on with the polyp now, but it's growing. That polyp can become cancerous.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a dear friend that, on our recommendation, went and got it, and there was a polyp, and it was precancerous. So you just really don't know. And I encourage all of my Bahamian brothers and sisters to go out and get it done. It's not that complicated. Yeah, drinking this stuff is tough. My doctor said mixing a little bit of ginger ale, which definitely helped. You know, I would just say like a quarter cup of ginger ale with each, 24 ounce, 12 ounce you drink, and just, take your time and put it down. Drink as much of it as you can. More than likely, you're not going to be able to finish it, but the more you can get in, the clearer your system is going to be. You want them to be able to see in there properly.
Yeah. And Peter, how are you doing now? And what tell us about what's happening with you right now?
Well, I mean, for me, I had a tumor going across, or I should say, I had a tumor in my colon, and I had an obstruction going across from that. So they went in and took out a section of my colon. And reconnected it. So that was the first thing they did. And all of that happened within days of getting my diagnosis. I got my diagnosis. I then scheduled a colonoscopy, which fortunately I moved out of Miami, which it was almost impossible to get it done there. And a couple days after my colonoscopy, they had me scheduled for surgery, had that done. I've been on chemo now for over a year, and I'm alive and thriving. My numbers are trending down, but I'm still dealing with it.
Yeah. Okay, Peter, thank you so much for sharing that. We really appreciate it. We're wishing you all the best. Thank you so much. Dr. Cooper got this very strange question. You tell me if you want me to ask that on the air, because I think that is just... wacko.
While he's reading that.
And his reaction, you see it there. Do you want to go there? You want me to ask you this question?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Look what you did.
People need to know.
Dwight, this is a serious question. That's a text.
That's the text says, yeah.
Does regular anal sex cause or increase the chances of colon cancer? And does getting regular colonics cause or prevent colon cancer?
That's deep. It's kind of early for that, but I'll tackle it.
We'll pardon your puns.
Yeah, no pun intended there, right? I hope. Yeah.
I'll tackle it. So let's start with the last part of that first. I don't know if and I looked when I first came home and I saw how the colonic business was so big here. I looked, I researched, I brought people who had a colonic to the office and did a colonoscopy on in the same day. And I found that the colonics do a pretty good job of cleaning out the colon. They do. It's the lasting benefit, right? Is there a lasting benefit? And I couldn't find any research to say that doing this quarterly or monthly is actually going to reduce your risk. Now, if you have really bad constipation, there could be some increased risk, but I find that colonics may kind of stunt your ability to have regular bowel movements because the stimulus is coming from the back and not from the front like it should. But in any case, do I think it improves or reduces your risk of colon cancer? I can't say that I do, and I don't know of any science that will support that. About the anal sex part, I would say no, that anal sex does not increase your risk of getting colon cancer. But safe sex is important. Anal sex can increase your risk of getting anal cancer. This is particularly in people who are immunocompromised or have HIV. You can get something called anal warts from anal sex. So practice safe sex, preferably with a partner that you know their status. And if that is your preference, be responsible.
Okay. All right. So again, you said we got about 30 seconds left. March and April, there are specials going on.
Yeah, used to be just March, but the response has been so overwhelming that we had to extend it to April, which is great. Right? People are wanting to get this thing done. We're overwhelmed. We're screening as many people as possible. If funds are an issue, talk to your doctor about getting that fit test, right? Fit tests they're good tests, and it will show up those microscopic amounts of blood. If you have a negative test, that's a pretty good indication that you can wait until next year and do it again. But get some form of colon cancer screening done.
Get something done.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the key.
Absolutely. Dr. Cooper, thank you so much for being here this morning. Dr. Dwight and
Thank you.
Stacey Marshall, thank you for being here this
Check
morning.
my Facebook page. People are asking me how they get in touch with Dr. Cooper. Check my Facebook page, and I'll put the information there.
Okay.
Check our Facebook page.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We're going to break for news and be back with Morning Blend Business. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
I do believe in you, and I know you believe in me. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But now we've realized love's not all that it's.
Doctors Hospital has reimagined primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. We understand that your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnoses and true personalized treatment begins. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshosp.com.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want. It's Nassau Tiles March Madness sale, and we're celebrating 94 years in business by giving 20% off store-wide. Catch the sale on all tiles, thin-set grout mosaics, and more. Save 25% off select porcelain tiles, 30% off ceramic tiles, and up to 40% off selected wall tiles. Our experts will guide you in your selection. Visit our showroom on Doswell Street or call 322-2100 to make your dream space a reality. Don't miss the March Madness sale, March 18th to 28th.
We need to talk, and it's about something pretty important, your NIB contributions. For nearly 50 years, NIB contributions from hardworking Bahamians have supported families and individuals alike. But Bahamian families have changed. Families are having fewer children. This means less workers are entering the workforce and making contributions. And with Bahamian retirees living longer, pension payments have also increased. As a result, payouts have gone up, continuously exceeding contributions coming in, resulting in a deficit. That's why, starting on July 1st, 2024, both employers and employees will have to pay a little extra to sustain this national lifeline. The July 1st rate increase is our way of ensuring that NIB benefits are available for generations to come. We all have a role to play, and it starts with investing in tomorrow today with NIB.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with With Chester Robards almost said a different name. Oh, it's the people that are getting to me. They keep saying that you are, but yeah, okay.
Then I'm what? Wait a second now.
Steven, I was about to say Steven. But yeah, Chester Robards is with us this morning. And
Okay, we can't do too much talking there.
Right.
A lot
We're
to
going to get
through.
to them right now. Our guests, our special, our favorite time of the month is when Bristol Wines and Spirits are here. We've got Kyle Stubbs, Tori Saunders, and Zena Williams with us, and they've brought a special guest. We have Christina Dean, the beverage manager at Four Seasons. Welcome to everybody. Great to have you with us.
Welcome, and thank you for having us. It's always a pleasure. It's the first day of spring, isn't it?
It is the first full day.
Things just lines up perfectly. Yeah, I've mentioned Christina's name. She's going to give me a side look once or twice this morning, but that's okay.
That's all she's been doing?
But I've been on a push to kind of, she said it's not closed doors, but to get folks in the beverage industry, more so on the wine side, just to show your face, let your voice be heard, and tell a story, just so now we could collectively show that the wine industry is becoming a thing for us.
Yeah.
It is a money maker. And those who take it a little bit more serious than others, like we look at the spirit side, those who take it a little bit more serious, the mixologists versus the bartenders, you see a bright future. You can carve out a career. You know, it's not just a bartender for my lifetime, but I'm a beverage professional. And so I kind of twisted her arm just so we could hear a different voice, her particular story that got her to where she is wine-wise, what she does now for Four Seasons, and then to get another distinguished palate to taste some of these wines that we tasted this morning.
Do all beverage managers look so stern?
Do I look stern?
Just a little. Maybe it's Kyle. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe that's what it is.
Well, welcome, Christina. Great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
No offense, you look extremely young. But so tell us about this. How long have you been doing this?
I mean, I think I am young, but I'm 27.
Okay.
I've been the beverage manager for about a year and a half. I've been doing hospitality for a while. I studied culinary, and so somehow I ended up here. I thought I wanted to be a chef, and that was a no-go for me. But in studying for culinary, that was a mandatory class of mine, so I had to take a wines class, and it was 19 years old in culinary schools, studying wine as a requirement for it. I went to the Culinary
Were you
Institute
into
of
wine
America.
before? Did you know much about
I
wine?
knew nothing
Oh,
about
wow.
wine.
Okay.
My family's not heavy drinkers. We barely drink. Not anymore, but we barely drinked at that time. And so I started in the class that everybody says in culinary school is the hardest class to pass. And fell in love. And that was where I started. So after culinary school, I kind of realized this was not the career for me. I did not want to be a chef. I did not like doing the same thing every day in terms of cooking, because when you're on a line, you're doing the same thing, cooking the same foods all the time. Despite the creativity aspect of it, it becomes a little bit redundant. And so I just wanted to make sure that I still did my passion of food and beverage, but in a different aspect. So that's how I got into the wines. I went back to school again, got a bachelor's in hospitality from University of Nevada, Las Vegas, where I worked front of house a lot and just continued studying wine. I didn't take my first WSET until the pandemic. So I was working at Four Seasons LA at the time. I was furloughed and bored.
Oh, boy.
So I was like, what do I do now? I mean, I've watched every show on Netflix. I have literally cooked everything possible. Now what do I do? And so I signed up for the class online and I just started studying. The first one was probably the easiest because most of those I already knew the answers to.
Tell us about what the WSET is. Kyle's talked about it before, but refresh for those who might just be hearing it for the first time. What is it all about?
So the WSET is Wine, Spirit, and Education Trust. So I am WSET 3 certified in wines, and that's just one of the governing bodies for sommeliers and studying for wines.
And how many levels are there?
There are 4 technically, so 3 and then the diploma, which breaks down into different regions more specifically.
So you're high up there.
I guess.
Yeah.
So what was it in that class that made you say, yes, this is it right here?
Because one, who doesn't like drinking good wines, and two, it was a lot more complex than you would think, right? Yeah. It wasn't just drinking. It wasn't just having fun with friends in class. It was something that you can enjoy, but you can also learn a lot, and you can learn about regions and geographical regions from it. So it really just opened my eyes to a different aspect of hospitality that I didn't realize was out there before.
And was it really that hard to pass?
The third one might be the hardest exam I've ever taken.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yes.
Tell us a little more about it. What do you have to do?
I mean, so there's a tasting aspect of it, and I think that one I passed with flying colors because we all understand it's good wine.
Right.
So you really just had to talk about flavor profiles. You didn't have to identify the wine in this exam. So you just had to talk about flavor profiles. You need to list the different profiles that you get in the nose in tasting it. You have to talk about the level of acidity versus tannins in the wines. And then the written portion might have been the most difficult thing.
Oh my goodness.
My hand was cramping in it. I was trying to make sure I got everything written down in time because half of it was multiple choice. The other half was short answer. And so you had to, and they would give you a random 3 regions. You're not going to know which one. So you have to study for everything on the off chance that you get it. And funny enough, a colleague of mine is German. I worked with her here in the Bahamas, and when I was going to take the exam, she went with me on the trip, and she just was going along for the fun of it.
Where did you go?
I went to Denver to take it, to sit it. And she was on the plane next to me, and we were studying German wines as we were going through. And luckily enough, there was Germany on the exam for one of my questions. So I was just super excited for that part. I answered that first and went to everything else after. But it was a very interesting experience. I think, would I have done it again? I don't know. But I've done it, and now I'm through.
When was this? When did you do?
I just took the exam about last year, this exact time.
Okay.
So I got the results in maybe August last year or September.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank
Congratulations. And how many do we have at this level? Kyle?
As far as I'm aware, Bahamians through WSET at level 3, registered. Christina would be the only one that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And we'll get through a few other things as we go through the show. Some folks who will join up, but through the WSET program at level 3, as far as I'm aware, Christina's the only Bahamian.
My goodness, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Congratulations
again.
Yeah, congratulations. How did that help in terms of your employment?
So I'm the beverage manager at Ocean Club, right? So I spend a lot of my day meeting with vendors just like Bristol's. I spend a lot of time going through costing and making sure that we're pricing things at the right point to make sure that it's still beneficial for the company. I do all the wine menus on property, so I have completely revamped our wine program, just trying to have it as a more rounded balance so that people from different areas and genres that come to our restaurant can still find something that they enjoy and they want to drink. So it gives me the freedom and the knowledge to be able to expand and teach also other Bahamians different aspects of the wine industry.
Excellent, excellent. Wow. What advice would you give to others who are thinking about this?
I say do it, right? There's no harm, no foul, right? Honestly, if you fail, you try again, right? It's something that's fun, that you're going to enjoy while doing it, and it gives you a career path you might never have thought about.
And we've done a lot of this with Kyle and Tori on the show, but what would you say to Bahamians who are maybe stuck in their way when it comes to wine or have some misconceptions about wine? What would you want to say to them?
Honestly, this is the best part of my job, right? Introducing wines to people that they never would have thought that they liked, right? I can use that, for example, with my own family. I think because I buy different things, they're more willing to try it, whereas my father is very much a port man. Like, he loves the profile of port, the sweetness to it. But I would never buy port on the day-to-day. So what happens is when you bring something else into a space, people are like, well, it's there, I'll try it, right? And it shows you that maybe my profile and what I like is not as limited as I thought. It's more advanced, and why not open the door for other people to try different things?
Yeah, yeah.
So now he's port and something else.
It's still mostly port. But
well, why wouldn't you buy port?
I mean, for me, I'm not heavy on fortified wines,
Okay.
right? And so I'm more, if I'm buying for myself, I'm definitely gonna go and buy a great Sancerre, and just enjoy it at home.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll drink it if it's there.
Yeah.
But that's not my preference.
Wow, this is fascinating. This is fascinating. Great stuff. So it's going to be great to have your opinion on some of the things we're going to sample here this morning.
Yeah. It's. I think what Christina represents is just what's to come industry wise. 27. That's longevity if she hangs around town kind of thing. But no, it's just awesome. But I just figured, while we have 5 folks who are getting ready. Actually, I think today, Tori is skipping the session, but he's been excused by the instructor. I think today is the first full session online for 5 folks who are doing level 3.
Okay.
When we get to the educational component of the show, we'll speak about, because they will be doing their examination and their tasting here in person in May.
Oh, wow.
But we'll also be facilitating level 1 and 2 in person in May as well. It took us about 2 years to get enough persons to have a minimum of 6, which was the requirement for level 3. So we don't see this experience happening for the next 24 months.
That's amazing.
And so we want to knock out whoever is at level 2 and prepared to do level 3. It's happening now, and whoever wants to do level 1 and 2, you get a little bit more out of this because it's going to be in person. The classroom, the tasting, and everything is going to be in person.
These are all Bahamians?
Bahamians, students. These are all
yeah.
Bahamian students.
Right.
The folks who are coming down, they reside inside the Cayman Islands, who are coming down to facilitate these these levels.
And Tori, are you ready?
As ready as it can be. As ready as it can be.
Ain't no turning back now.
Yeah. And so again, for this, you're sampling, you're tasting all the time. Is that how this works?
That's how
Christine,
it works.
Tori?
That's how it works for me now, because I'm in the field. I'm taking the exam now, so I'm not in culinary school. I'm not working at a bar somewhere. I in the wine field already. I'm taking the exam, so I sort of comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I don't even think I spend most of my time on the tasting. I think the theory knowledge was
Okay.
what was more prevalent, and the tasting aspect, it was like, okay, list as much profiles as you can think of quickly so you can get in and out and to the next section as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
That part come at the end, the tasting part.
No, the tasting's first.
Tastings first. Wow.
So what I do like is the fact that both of these folks would have went through WSET, and I would have went through ASI, right? Association is Somalis International. Slightly different in approach. So when I got to my final examination, everything that Christina mentioned that she did in level 3 and a part of what was missing, which will be in level 4, was the culmination for me. So I had to dive into wine regions, and all of them were on the examination. So I had to do definitions and explanations on the difference between appellations on the left bank of Bordeaux and the right bank and so on. My tasting, all of these taste profiles that Christina was speaking of, still had to lead us to now the points we're giving on your taste profile leading you to a particular wine, a particular region, and a particular vintage. So rounding off what was done on level 3, it's not just what is the profile of a Sauvignon Blanc, but it's now taking your chances on this is a French Sauvignon Blanc, like she just spoke about the Sancerres that she liked, or this is a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. And then based on what it is that you see, smell, taste, and feel in this glass, is you taking a guess as to how old this wine is as well. So that's the culmination. On that
amazing.
level 2 was a service component inside a restaurant setting. And it's just, because Somalis historically come from the restaurant background. But it's how do you present yourself in a fine dining setting with or without problems in terms of suggesting very expensive wines with a menu, right? Going through the proper steps of service in terms of refreshing the guest's memory as to what it is that they ordered by you, verbalizing what's on this wine bottle, going through the service, whether it's decanting something young or decanting something older, the guest giving you a little bit of problems, right? Pushing back and saying, I don't like this. It's typical situations we get in the restaurant, or I didn't order this. And how do you now deal with this in a very intense setting, because everybody who is sitting at the table or who is watching from a distance is sitting down and grading you, kind of thing. And to Christina's extent, I always mention it, more difficult than undergraduate and high school together is getting a wine sommelier certification.
But it sounds so exciting.
It
though.
is.
This
It's
is
2 years
wonderful.
of drinking and fun.
And so many opportunities out there for Bahamians, right? There's so many things you could.
Opportunities. I mean, Christina is here inside the hotel. I'm here with a distributor. You know, there's supplier stuff. And then when we get to speak about some trends and the digital stuff, I mean, you could be sitting down at home as a sommelier and making tons of money just based on where we are in the world today.
It's wild.
Yeah,
All right, so let's get our mouths a little wet here with the first one before we get into some of the other topics.
Indeed. So we brought out 4 fantastic wines. One we've brought on the show before, but I just want to refresh and reintroduce. This is the freshest vintage that we have in our portfolio. This is Chateau St. Michel's Columbia Valley Riesling. This is their 2022 vintage. Very consistent Riesling. We call it off dry. There's some noticeable residual sugar in it, but there's also a nice acid bite in it. And it's one of Washington's oldest wineries. I like their Riesling and their Riesling programs because they partner with Dr. Lucen, who's the #1 inside Germany. And so they just do very good Riesling. But I'm going to speak less on the wines today. I'm going to let Christina.
Christina, let's hear your professional opinion on this Riesling.
I did not expect this, but I would say this is high acid for sure. I can definitely get the off dry. When I'm tasting for it, you try to see how it coats the palate, of course, and if your mouth is still salivating afterwards, that means like the acidity is definitely high. I'm getting a lot of green apple notes.
Yes.
Maybe some mint in the background. I don't know if Kyle is getting the same thing, but I have a little undercurrent of something earthy, and that's what I'm tasting.
Definitely a taste of green apple.
That earthy is, and we talked about that. Washington seems to have that.
That's Tori's favorite tasting though these days is wet stone.
Really?
There's a couple of things, and we spoke about it previously when we say Coca-Cola inside the can versus Coca-Cola inside the bottle. It's a different sensation, right? So the earthy minerality, there's a nice little interesting something that's going on there. But this is 100% stainless steel, so we get a very true expression of the grape variety and what it is. That's enjoyable.
It's good.
I am not a professional at all. I'm tasting green juju. That's similar to apple, but green juju.
So
There's no wrong answer. There's no
There's
wrong
a couple
answer.
of things, right? So don't forget, we start off very broad. So I taste fruit, right? And then what category of fruit? So we were tasting some, apple, right? So fruit, and then you going on the juju path, and we going on an apple path, neither here
And then
neither
the same
there.
family, so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
But again, remember now when I told you, when I studied wine, they trained me on blackcurrant. I never exposed to blackcurrant.
Right.
But when I came back home, and I didn't hear that blackcurrant as a note as much, then I cross-referenced with sea grape. And then when I could put my nose in a glass and I smell sea grape, I'm like, I know exactly what's this particular variety or what could be in this blend kind of thing. So we might be saying apple and it's just like, it was juju just finished hanging off the trees a couple of weeks ago. So that may be fresh on your palate and in your oral factory, and that's what you're linking to. So I can't say right or wrong. But tight green, we're on the same page.
And in the exam, is that profile? That's what you're talking about when you say profiles.
Yeah.
And is that objective at all?
There are standard profiles that we can taste and smell in grape varieties, and then there are other nuances that come from place and time and smaller things that the winemaker is doing inside the winery. But there are uniformed. Like Chardonnays have a certain profile, right? Depending on where it comes from, you'll have more or less of a different aroma or flavor kind of thing. It's the same thing with Rieslings. But yeah.
So you can't be like, I'm from the Bahamas. This tastes like juju. So come from around here, green apple.
We could have that conversation here, but we can't really do right on it.
I wouldn't say it
What is
there.
juju? Like, what is juju?
Oh boy. All right, so I'm curious. I've noticed Riesling bottles all are long and narrow. What's that about? Is there any particular reason why they are shaped that way versus other white wines?
A couple of things, right? These old world folks are old world folks are particular. So Germany is considered an old world country, right? Now, I've always been taught about them and their approach to their bottle, singling themselves out as this is their grape variety that they want. And they just came up with this shape, this bottle, and they ran with it. But what it does for the wine is it makes it looks a lot more attractive. I mean, I'm certain the bottle on the side of it, I shouldn't say that.
You should. I get it. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But
it is a little
but you look
sexy.
right.
Sleek.
But you look at the Chateau Saint Michel bottle, right? It looks a little bit more sexier, right?
It's very interesting.
And you could pick it out from afar too.
Right. And so usually you walk in the retail store and you see wines on the rack and you see bottles shaped like that.
Yeah.
It's a Riesling. Then you can go and dive into that conversation a little bit more if it's a sweet or dry Riesling. But you see it like that, that's their thing.
I find ice wine is typically in smaller, skinny
slim bottles as well too. Again, preference, and then on the ice wine is we end up with so little juice based on the process, freezing out the grapes and everything else that you only end up with 375 kind of thing.
Size.
You spend some big money on that.
Oh, wow.
You sure do.
Somebody's asking if they are interested in becoming a wine expert sommelier in Freeport, what should they do? What can they do?
They can send me an email at kyle.stubbs@bristol.bs, and we'll just get them started with the online portion of what we have going on, and then we move from there. We have a fellow who, right out of the pandemic from Freeport, who joined us and did level 1 and 2.
Okay.
He's actually making fruit wine inside Freeport right now.
Right. Wow.
Now I want to ask Christina if you'd end up at work talking wine with customers often.
Very often, very often. So I spend a lot of my days at Dune Restaurant. So I spend a lot of the time on the floor, and if a guest has a wine menu in front of them, the first thing I will do is ask if there's something that they have a preference for, right? So I can kind of help navigate them to something that's going to fit their profile that they like more. And I could just go from table to table talking about wines all day, every day.
Yeah.
What kinds of things do people tell you in order to try and pinpoint what it is that they might like?
So some people say things like, oh, I want something that's a little bit more fruit forward, or someone will say, I want a bold cab, I want something that's less tannic. Something like, oh, I like reds, but I just don't want it to be overpowering with the food. This is what I'm ordering. Can you recommend something that goes with it? So that gives us options, especially if they're willing to buy by the bottle. That gives us way more options. But by the glass, we also have a great selection, and I can be able to say, well, for this dish, I recommend this.
Are you noticing a change in customers? Like they know wine better than they did maybe a few years ago? Or what are you seeing?
Definitely. Even just like, I'm just talking about our local clientele. This is amazing to see with Bahamians how versatile the wine industry has become, and they know what they're looking for. They are coming in prepared, and they are not trying to have the same old basic thing that they've been having before.
Excellent. Kyle is very happy.
Yeah,
about that.
okay, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
You're doing good.
No, not just me, but I mean we're progressing. It's amazing, and we're talking about Dawn and Bahamian clientele.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to appreciate that we eat and we eat out, and we eat out at the best places that we have available to us on the island.
Yeah.
And to hear from on Christina's end that we are becoming a little bit more cultured. Then the next thing would be that we're drinking a lot of French and Italian wines because we understand what it's saying on the label, but. We'll creep before we get there. But you just show up in Dawn and ask questions, and Christine will take care of you.
Now, I got a lot of questions for you, it seems. But Big Star and Big Diamond hotels get secret shoppers. Is that something that they look for and pick up on? Is wine something that they...
Not particularly.
Okay.
So our secret shoppers are more about service, right?
Oh, okay.
That would be an added aspect for
Right.
it. So if I speak to them at the table and they liked the interaction, they'll mention it in their review. They'll say, oh, We met the SOM for the property. She was very nice. She spoke to us by name. She gave us this recommendation. And they, a lot of times, grade for personality and feeling as well as standards. So
Okay.
if they feel some sort of warmth, they're more than happy.
Excellent. Folks are asking about the price of that Riesling. What are we looking at there?
It's Rieslingable. Sorry.
He's only had one glass, folks.
I apologize.
Only had one glass.
21.95.
Yeah.
Is Chateau Saint Michel Riesling. 21.95.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, what are we looking at this? What is this one?
Oh, yeah, what is
This is a Mercelet Chardonnay, right? Santa Barbara, I believe. Cool climate. And some interesting things in this. So we would have gone through some malolactic fermentation. It would have seen some oak aging as well. And so those kind of things we should be able to pick up on what we smell and what it is that we taste. But this is a fantastic one. This is actually
complex.
Very interesting smell.
The nose is interesting.
For the first time, I get an egg.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay, egg.
Like yolk.
The taste is complex though.
Christina, what are you picking up
what's going on there?
I mean, you can obviously taste the malolactic fermentation that creates that butteriness in it. It is it's not as high acid as the last one that we just had, right? It has a lot of flavors on top of each other. So the process of oaking is definitely very prevalent in it. And Kyle, I don't know if you spoke about malolactic before, but it's because of the high acidity and the coolness of the region when they typically go through malolactic fermentation. So you can get very complex notes on this. I think the first thing I got was maybe like a pear in fruit flavors, but the oaking is very prevalent.
So just on the previous wine, when Christina spoke about the high acid, and we had the green apple sensations that we said we picked up, right? That's the malic acid, right? And so in a lot of wines, and depending on where it's coming from, that could be a little bit offensive, right? Because it's a sharp kind of thing. So we soften that up through a secondary conversion, and we end up with some lactic acid. So all of the buttery, yogurty sensations that we're familiar with shows up with
yogurt.
Right.
Yes.
That also changes the texture and the way the wine sits on our palate. And then to put some oak on the top of that. So when we treat wines like that, we really try to find the balance between what's happening fruit character-wise, acid-wise, oak-wise, right? And then sometimes one or the other outperforms the other. Not necessarily that it's bad, right? So like Christina would say, you definitely, before you get to the fruit in this, you get to the malic and you get to the wood. But there is some fruit character in there as well.
You mentioned altitude just now, right? That's the altitude of the grapes growing or the winery itself?
Yes, so it's the altitude of where the grapes are grown, right? And that tends to lead to grapes that have higher acid just because of the coolness in the climate. And when it has high acid like that, and some people just are not fans of the high acidity in wines, they tend to go through malolactic fermentation. But with that said, Chardonnay is one of those grapes that is definitely expressive of its climate. So Chardonnay can taste completely different from place to place, and it's a whole different grape.
And the color too, right? Changes a lot.
Exactly.
This is kind of light.
And this wine bottle, have the whole, what she just said.
Oh, really?
Highland Vineyards cooled by winds of the Pacific harvest from October 2nd through October 26th.
Okay.
Barrel, fermented, and cellared.
I thought Christina was going to say people go through malolactic shock when they first tasted it.
All right. What about the food pairings with both of these? The Riesling, what would you do, Kyle?
I
Or
love
Christina too.
Okay, let me take the Riesling. I'll give Christina the Chardonnay. I've always talked about Sauvignon Blanc and Conch, right? And the way we do things. But what I've realized, and through Tori, because every time we have a supplier and we Conch salad is a thing, but we refuse to let them have it without pepper because we love our pepper, right?
Wow.
But that kind of changes the taste sensation when we bring that high acid Oyster Bay New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc to the table. But with the obvious residual sugar inside this here, right? Just the average amount of pepper now, not the extra pepper that we had to ask the Conch salad man for. Whether it's your cracked conch, whether it's your conch salad, whether it's your old-fashioned scotch, whether it's your tropical with pepper, I think this Riesling shows up, right? And when you think of our number one dessert, it isn't overly sweet, the guava duff, right? And so we always try to, when we get into food pairings, especially dessert, we want to find a wine that's not sweeter than the dessert, right? And so with this nice balance here, you put this on the side of a nice guava duff, and I think your mouth is going to be watering.
But this will be really good on its own without any food, right?
Come on, Dwight. We've accepted that you know, people, you buy a case of water, you buy 2 bottles of Chateau Saint Michelle Riesling, but now it's okay. I have a piece of guava duff, save 2 glasses to go with it, kind of thing. Or conch salad on Sunday after church, a glass of Chateau Saint Michelle Riesling will go far.
The overly sweet dessert is going to strip the sweetness out of the taste anyway.
You're spot on, my friend.
All right.
I do want to say I've never had conch salad after church. That's not something that I tend to do. But for the Chardonnay, I would definitely recommend something creamy because of the creaminess in the drink itself, right? So I would do something maybe with goat cheese. And because goat cheese isn't one of those sharp cheeses, it's something that's smoother and a little bit more palatable with this especially. And then I would also maybe recommend something dairy based if you're doing something with heavy cream. As Bahamians, we love a good Alfredo, so this would go great with that as well.
Right. Zena, this tastes expensive.
Zena.
But what are we looking at here?
Wow. I guess if you're saying it tastes expensive, that depends what you define expensive as. However, the bottle is $50.
I see.
So,
okay,
you
were close.
Up there. Not bad, but it's okay.
Oh, it's on sale right now.
But it is
so
on
it's
sale.
a little bit less if you get it this month. You have until, I think, the first week in April. But usually, it's about $50.
Okay. All right. So,
I think they gave us goat at Domain, actually. Goat cheese. Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
All right. So, we talk about the pandemic a lot and that things that have changed. What are we looking at now that is it already 4 years?
Yeah.
Wow. You've noticed some changes in terms of people's buying preferences and what they're into?
So the pandemic kind of shifted everybody digitally, right? And that's whether it's just to receive some information, whether it's, like to study like Christina did, or whether it's to purchase product, right? But through the problems of the pandemic, the availability of certain products wasn't always there.
Right.
And so that shifted our patterns, right? And so whatever was available and whatever price point people were comfortable with purchasing at. But now we're 2 years out, right? So in the spirit and beer side of things, people have now reverted back to what's the norm, what's my go-to. But on the wine side of things, people are still exploring on the super premium level, right? So those who moved from $20 pre-COVID to $65 during COVID, they're okay with staying at $65 and shopping and finding their preference at that price point. What we're also seeing on the wine side of things is those same folks still are looking for very serious or curated experiences and will still spend whatever it takes to get those experiences. I didn't participate on the weekend pass, but from what I understand, the Nassau Paradise Island Food and Wine Festival was a smashing success. All right, and folks would have spent $300 north to go and enjoy that, which means to be amongst the best Bahamian chefs and international chefs, to enjoy the best beverages available on the island. I would spend $300+ and be okay with it. So I think this weekend pass still shows us that those type of events at those levels, at that spend, is still a thing, specifically on the wine side of things. And so it just makes it fun for people like Tori and I, longevity. People like Christina means, the elevation of the customer base that's coming into her restaurant. It just makes it a lot more fun in what it is that we do.
Do you curate Swirl when it's at your property?
So Swirl is actually Ocean Club Estate. So I think a lot of times we forget that they're separate now. So we're no longer a part of Atlantis because we're Four Seasons. So no, Swirl wouldn't be us.
Okay.
All right. So you also got a new newsletter and some great information there. I guess, Zena, you'll tell us about that.
Okay, so Kyle and I are working together to revamp the newsletter a bit.
Yes, we are. We are.
So it's going to be highlighting some of the wines we feature for sale during the month, as well as at some of our tasting events. So once we do the tasting, the newsletter is going to highlight some of the top picks that people say while we're doing the tasting, and we'll allow people to get a chance to experience it after the tasting. Even though you may not come out that night and do it with us, but you could read the newsletter, come to the store, buy 2 bottles, and maybe you create your own at-home tasting after reading that.
Truth be told, folks have been coming at us, like, how can we be sold out? And we could be sold out because people are very interested.
Yeah.
And so, but we still don't want you to be left out, right? And so we're going around the world in 60 wines. So every tasting is 6 wines, so 10 tastings across the year. And what we're going to do is select the top 3 out of each tasting, and we're going to make those available for a month stretch, the following 4 weeks after that tasting. So if you missed the last tasting, which was Spain, right? The newsletter that comes out on Friday will feature the 3 top wines from the Spanish tasting in a combo price. So you can get the same price that was afforded to those folks at the tasting for a 2-week period, and a little write-up on it. So you'll have an understanding, just as we speak here about Chateau Saint Michel, where it's from, the vintage that we have, and then our taste profiles kind of thing. And then you have your 3 wines that you can correspond with your taste with the notes that we have.
Excellent.
Tori and I will also go through our cellar like we've done last year and pick a song pick on a monthly basis. An interesting wine, something that we spend the last 3 months talking about interesting grape varieties that we don't usually hear about or know about. We'll offer a nice discount about it, but again, it's just us continuing, this, how do you get contact with the folks who are selling the wine, get a little bit more of their insight and their information on it kind of thing. All of our educational opportunities are going to be in there. So starting on Friday, you'll be able to see concretely what's happening in person May 2nd and 3rd for WSET 1 and 2. For those who are already in level 3, they'll know what's happening in person for them that weekend as well for level 3. And then all of the other opportunities, the wine dinners, the receptions, the happy hours. This happy hour, it is going to be Aries season, but we're celebrating all of our Pisces on Friday. So you can join us for a nice Chateau Saint Michel flight. Some of Tori's premium spirits are going to be on display. So we're going to have the Cantera Negra tequila, the silver and the coffee. We'll have Redemption bourbon out there. Of course, the Cascarilla Bark from Amaro has to make an appearance.
Yes.
We have Grey Whale Gin from the Pacific Coast in the U.S. Should be a good time. DJ Baby Lion.
And Speroni, if you like a
And
little bubbly.
Speroni, yeah. So bubbly is going to be there as well.
All right.
I might have quickly asked you this before. There's a reason that you guys don't do like a subscription package thing?
So that picks from our tasting is going to lead us back into our subscription program.
Okay.
So we started a subscription program through the pandemic kind of thing. But the demand for training digitally throughout all of the family islands kind of had me spread thin.
All right, yeah.
But Zila has put that back on the
And
list.
where do you normally find the newsletter? Where just tell us about that.
So right now we send the email to basically people who have sent their email to us. But if you want to be added to the newsletter, there's a couple ways you can get added. You can either send a message on our Facebook page or our Instagram page, and I'll be the one that sees the message. Send your email, I'll add you to the newsletter. Or some people will message Kyle, and if they can't make it to a tasting, then they'll say, hey, I can't make it to the tasting, but can I be added to the newsletter so I can know about the next one?
Okay.
And I'll add them.
Okay, excellent. All right, we're running out of time. You got 2 other wines, so we'll probably only get through one of these. But what's the one that we have now?
So last year at some point we started shopping on the discount table at the Gladstone store, right? So this is the discount table at the Gladstone store. It's Milmore Malbec from Argentina. Interesting because it goes through a similar process like Rapasso or Amarones in Italy. So this is made from dried out grapes. Right? So we move, we said each bottle has 80 to 90% of water in it. So we remove some of that water by drying out the grapes before we go through.
So it's a half raisin.
I guess you could look at it. Now, again, it is off of our, discount table. And it's hopefully one of those we could say was an interesting find.
And what's this one called again?
Millimore Malbec.
All right. And we won't have time for the fourth one. You probably bring that back. But what's this one that we were going
This
to
is Stag's Leap Hands of Time. I always like Stag's Leap because, they once we really get into the story, they kind of assisted with putting California on the map to the Judgment of Paris and outperforming some big bottle wines. This is their red blend, Napa Valley. Right? Red blend kind of makes the Napa or the super premium juice a little bit more affordable. It's leading in terms of cabs, Pinot Noirs, red blends, and then Merlots. So I just figured, it'll be nice to bring. And it's two things. It's called Hands of Time, right? And so it's just giving kudos to the passage of time and the seriousness of wine making and the hands that go into play in terms of blending of wines. And when we think of big wines from Bordeaux, they're all blended wines. And so, this is just a kudos to the art of blending.
All right.
Well, it's apropos because we're out of time.
Yep. And one more time, people asking about when the next tasting is. Tell us one more time.
The next tasting is going to be May 2nd. We are focusing on Italy, so it's actually going to be at La Caverna instead of Premier Cru, and we're going to have a few bites to pair with the wines that we're tasting.
I'm a guest that night. Giorgio is taking the whole show, so he's doing the wines and the food.
Okay, excellent. And by the way, what you're doing at the Bristol of Glasgow Road is beautiful.